indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, public discussion is up first here. As I think we can all tell, there's a lot of folks here, so we're gonna need to do this orderly, and please be respectful and conscious about your comments here. Anyone want to start out first? Galen, you have 2 minutes at most.
Alright, I'm Galen Casey. I'm one of your local beaver trappers in Kossuth County. And I heard two different stories. One, you're gonna cut us in half, and the other one, you're not gonna pay it that comes out of the supervisor fund. I was just curious which way are you guys thinking? And I average around 40 beaver a fall. And last year, 3/4 were females. So that's 30 beaver. They average 2 to 4 kits. Let's just go low 2 kits. So I knocked out 60 to 120 beaver for next year. And if you take, most of my beaver are caught out of non-drainage. Because on this side of the blacktop, I got drainage. On this side of the blacktop in Laverne, there's no drainage, and that's where I nail them. So I was just curious at what you guys are planning on doing. So if you guys could give me an answer on that, or what do you think? Because I know it's a whole whopping, what, $5 grand that you put in your budget. And if you want to save $5 or $6 grand, maybe you ought to do what Jack Platt was saying for years when I was on the board. Knock the mileage off coming to work. Tammy don't get paid. Sheriff doesn't get paid for mileage coming to work. But when you're going out and doing drainage, I believe you guys should be paid mileage on that. But to get here to the courthouse, that's your job. But, I mean, that's one way you can save some money also. So if you guys got an answer, let me know on that beaver, I'd appreciate it.
Do you remember, that's what I was trying to remember yesterday, what, I had talked about taking the beaver, Dan probably, but
Took it out.
Supervisor's fund, right? But we never cut anything in half.
No.
You might want to readdress that. I don't know. We try to get as many out of the drainage ditch as we can. Assess it to the drainage ditches, because that's where the problem is. The rivers aren't really the problem, but we'll address it.
Well, what about like St. Benedict Pit? That's county.
Right.
Why don't they take that out of Stoney's budget?
We probably should.
Because there's a big strip there, then they drop out of there, they drop in the Ray and Allen Ludwig's Creek, then they're in the Hannah Ranch, and away they go. Next thing you know, they're down Laverne. So I mean, they're fit down there.
Yeah. It's where they do the damage that we should assess.
Yeah.
We can
address that.
Thank you.
Anyone want to go next? Rich?
My name is Rich Rosemeyer, Kossuth County Farm Bureau President. I'm here representing my board and our 1,492 members. We just feel when you're coming up to vote on this levy, we'd like to see a vote no on it and try to do a hard work on the budget to get it down where it's workable for everybody in the county. And I guess that's all I'll say. So thank you.
Thank you.
I got a few things. You know, it's strange now that Jack and Roger, you guys are getting out of here. It ain't gonna affect you, but now it's time to, we've been talking about the health insurance for 20 years and never, no, we're saving money. Now all the time, it's time to kick the employees when they're paying taxes and insurance and mortgages and food and gas. Oh hell, let them start paying to balance your budget. The county's been buying buildings all over and stuff to put in them, and then they need to buy more stuff to put in them, and then we need services to use the buildings. The county has gotten fat, and rather than lose weight, you decide we're gonna just buy new clothes. Well, the taxpayers are tired of buying you new clothes. It's time to cut the budget. It looks to me like you've got either the 5-year program coming up today yet. Why in the heck are you going to approve a budget or a plan when you haven't approved the money where it's coming from? And I'm sure you've talked to all the department heads and they say, oh boy, we can't cut. It's time to say, sorry, you're cutting 10% off your budget, 10% off your budget, 10%, and go to the county roads. I've seen a lot less services on my roads cut their budget by 20%. You know what? They'll find where it's gotta come from. I've got that road, you guys all voted to close that piece of ground and make it a level B because the engineer didn't have the money to fix the road for 20 years. Now if I want that road up, it's gotta come up to his standards. He didn't have any standards for 20 years, but I'm responsible to pay for it. You know, it's ridiculous. You've gotten too fat, and it's time to just say, we gotta cut this budget, not raise taxes. That's too dang easy for you guys to raise taxes. And like Kyle, I've heard you've got a security guard going with you. If you're that unpopular, it's not my job to pay for that. Is it?
Time's up. Thank you. Anyone else like to talk for public discussion? Going once, going twice? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda and minutes.
I would move to approve the agenda and
And
minutes. And also, why don't you call one of the janitors to bring some chairs? They
We're
want-
out, we
We're-
don't have any
we're
more
out.
We're out
chairs.
of chairs?
we're out.
Oh, sorry.
And I will say to the point that was just made, the secondary road budget and program, we probably need to move to the bottom. That'll be a lot of time, and we need to have budget conversations before we do that. So. Are you good with that, Roger, in your motion?
They have to address it sometime.
Well, we do, I'm just saying
I
later
don't
on.
care what order
Okay.
we do.
Okay, I'll second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. Monthly update from the foreman. You guys got anything you wanna highlight for us?
Trying to straighten the roads out, this is our spring planning, we're trying to get the roads shaped up and, yeah, tile holes fixed as we see them and stuff, and driveways,
Moisture, I'm sure, is welcome.
that's why we're after the roads.
Have you had a chance to go down to Mike Bonsitter's at all?
We've looked at it, we got a couple of things in the works.
Okay, that's fine. Or you think that's something we can do?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
What's going on there? That tire wall, it's right there by the intake on the north side of the road.
Oh. If you would like to speak with me, Carter, I can tell you what we're going to do there.
The tile out in the field. Not the
The
culvert.
road crossing in.
Sure.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Gravel road's good this morning, I went down with much of them.
Moisture is helping, pretty good.
I could go 50 at least.
Right east of, where Howard, or right where Howard and Cease Mullins live, just northeast of Laverne, or closer to Corwith. I think it's a corner of 150th and 240, yeah, 240. There's a T there. That's always just a really, really bad spot every year. Is there anything we can do about that?
It's just one of those problem areas that's recurs.
Okay.
Alright, anything else you guys wanna highlight, or anything else from the board? If not, we'll move on. We have the reports from KRHC in our packet, so we can all view them as needed. We'll talk later about having them on the agenda for next week if.
Thanks, guys.
But,
I like the KRHC resource, you looked at it.
yeah, we're just gonna leave that open for now. Next up is conservation exemptions that are in our packet.
You'll have to speak up a little, Kyle.
The next on our agenda is conservation exemptions. Does anyone have any questions on that? Otherwise, I would entertain a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carried unanimous. What do you look for?
Derek, could you come here for a second? Keep going.
Okay. Next, after that is the GASB 96 resolution. Did everyone get a chance to read through that or any questions? I don't think we have anything that actually applies to, but it's a policy with GASB that we have to have in place, so.
I think it applies to us.
Well, if we have anything, we'll have to fill it out, but
We don't have anything.
we don't
on
have
that
anything right now.
We still have to approve it.
The resolution number is 04-09-24-01. But I have a motion to approve this resolution. Okay, thanks, do we have a second? I'll second, any discussion? Roll call vote please.
Plath,
Yes.
Jerks,
Yes.
Wactor,
Yes.
Nath,
Yes.
Stecker.
Yes. Right. We'll skip the secondary road budget program till later, oh, I think Doug left, so we'll skip all those later.
Got about 15 people outside,
I don't know where you're gonna put them.
so here, if you want.
It's up to you.
If we can, that'd be fine, but yeah, I mean, we only got so much space here. If we do have people in the hall, we may need to rotate people in and out.
We can pull that table out. We got quite a few people out here.
One of the problems is you need to talk a little bit louder. I know that's not always easy, but
Yeah.
would you please?
Yeah, and this stuff
We
is,
can't really hear anything, and I'm right here, and there's 20 to 30 people out there.
yep,
Maybe that. 15 out there. Sorry.
okay. I think, I mean, for the people to be able to talk and stuff, I think we're gonna need to rotate people in and out, I don't know what else to do.
I'll take your.
You want me to talk?
Well, no, I don't, I mean, anyone got any ideas on how to
Just talk
make this
louder.
available for everyone?
Not really, we're confined by space.
Okay, well. I don't know, we could skip down to discussion with department heads and then, insurance and budget workshop and just come back to everything else, but we,
Mr. Metzger's here, so he's
Oh, yeah.
discussing. So we better address it, you don't have to
Okay.
sit here all day.
where's he at?
He's
Oh,
up
He's
there.
right there.
Mr. Metzger, do you wanna come up? We'll talk about your tile here, if you wanna
Do you
keep it.
want me to move that there when that chair is, or no, does that take up?
No, it's okay.
What do we need to do?
Just
Um,
have a chair right there.
You don't have to speak.
So,
Go ahead, sit down.
obviously this tile crossing was discussed previously, does anyone have any thoughts, or Roger, it's your district, what are your
It's a road crossing, it
suggestions?
really doesn't apply to districts, it applies to everything. My, two mistakes were made, they didn't follow the directions for putting it in, and the contractor probably wasn't bonded that did it, which is probably what we should have done. It's over and done with, and there's not much we can do to change it, except to add cost to the project. So, today, with everything else that we have on the plate, I think we should just accept it the way it is and move on.
Is that a motion?
And make sure we don't have it again. Yeah, that'll be
Okay.
my
Your
motion.
motion is to leave it as it is
Yeah,
and try to avoid it in the future, or?
right, make sure anybody that's crossing the road is bonded, because I don't know how it slipped by, but it did.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Plath,
Yes.
Jerks,
Yes.
Wactor,
Yes.
Nath,
it. Yes.
Stecker.
Yes. Motion carried unanimous.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for coming in.
Thanks, Roy.
Carter seconded it. Do we have all of our department heads in? I don't think so.
There's some standing out in the hallway if you're looking for department.
Okay,
We went to get some chairs, so.
Take a 5-minute break while we get chairs.
There's about 3 empty chairs, if any of the department heads wanna at least come in and find a seat. Oh, yeah. Okay. Crisscross applesauce. Big chairs.
there's a couple over along the wall too.
Oh, they're bringing.
Back there too.
Okay, do we wanna go to that item next, or what do you guys think? 'Cause
Everybody's
I
here
think
for the next, for the
everyone-
last 2 items.
everyone's here with budget and stuff.
It's gonna take 5 minutes to that drainage, if you wanna do like.
No, we'll do that later.
Okay.
Here, you can sit here, I'll go stand.
Well, I guess I'll open it up for department heads here. Let's call anyone that's not here.
Doug is not here.
Wanna call the 101?
Who else?
I
is
did
there?
send an email, so.
Okay. I guess we can, go ahead.
Yeah, we're just letting you know we're up to the department head discussion. Yep, you bet. Bye. We're really pulling out the cheap seats.
We are.
I guess I know we got some more coming in and stuff, but I'll open it up to any department heads that wanna start in conversation here. And then as more come in, we can add to it, but.
You learn more when you sit up front.
That's right.
Good cabinets.
What do you know?
Alright, I will open it up for any department heads that would like to make some comments, for this agenda item here. Please.
Yeah, if I could please speak. First of all, for the record, any secondary road employee that is attending this today is on vacation. They've taken vacation to attend this meeting. So I just want to say that so everybody is aware of that. Just like to say a couple of things on behalf of the county engineer and then also speak on behalf of the secondary road employees. Secondary road department, in the engineer's office, we have 6 employees. We have 2 employees at our mechanic shop right now, and we have 31 employees in the road department. Transfer station, we have 2 employees up there. All of these employees, the secondary road department, transfer station, they're all great employees. They show up to work every day. They show up to work on time. They work in all weather events, whether it's cold, snowy, rain, heat, dry, they're working. The employees work in different situations. Sometimes they're by themselves. Other times they're working in a crew. Sometimes they're working on pavements, doing maintenance. An inconvenienced traveling public may be disgruntled, may go speeding by. They're out there working in these situations. These employees, they obey all the county rules. If there are problems, I talk to the road foreman, the shop foreman, I talk to the employees, they're taken care of. Kossuth County has approximately 373 square miles of area. No other county in the state of Iowa has that area. Kossuth County has approximately 1,647 miles of road. No other county has anything larger. It's the largest in the state. Kossuth County has 39 road employees. No other county in Iowa, 38 counties in the state of Iowa have a larger number of secondary road employees than Kossuth County has. Kossuth County's ratio of open miles per secondary road employee is 42.239 miles per employee. One other county in the state of Iowa has a larger ratio than what Kossuth County has. Kossuth County's ratio of Area 7 maintenance expenses per miles of open road is $6,388.30 per mile of road. 70 counties in the state of Iowa have larger ratios in their Area 7 budget expenditures per miles. Kossuth County Transfer Station disposal rates, it's the lowest of 6 surrounding transfer stations. This is all due to the Board of Supervisors, the Kossuth County Engineer's Office, Secondary Road Department, transfer station employees, and many other factors. Now, I'd like to just speak a little bit about this. Next, I will be talking about what county employees have said to me and what I've observed in the last couple of weeks. So on behalf of the Secondary Road Department, I'd just like to say, I've had an opportunity to speak with the road foreman, the shop foreman, and some of the employees. The road department employees, they don't know what Kossuth County's financial problem is. The road department employees would like to know what the financial problem is, what caused the financial problem, and if there is a plan initiated to correct the problem. In an effort just to describe road employees, transfer station employees' feelings, morale is low. Faith in Kossuth County as their employer is low. Confidence in Kossuth County as their employer is low. The employees have concerns about job security. Some things to keep in mind about road employees and transfer station employees. When the operators were hired, health insurance benefits were an important reason why they took the job. A majority of the operators are Kossuth County residents. They own Kossuth County property and pay property taxes to Kossuth County school districts, community colleges, cities, etc. Kossuth County operator pay is approximately $25.44 per hour. That ranks 64th out of 83 counties participating in the Iowa County Engineers Association Service Bureau Salary Survey. Some of Kossuth County operators work an extra job to pay for their expenses. The Secondary Road Department Collective Bargaining Unit has bargained in good faith over the years. In past years, the health insurance benefit was important, and the collective bargaining unit accepted lower increases in wages in order to keep the health insurance benefit. Using an average wage of a secondary road employee of $25.44 per hour and using 2,080 hours per year, the average gross yearly pay is approximately $43,000 per year. The estimated net pay, take-home pay, is $41,000 per year. As a rule of thumb, every additional $50 per month that would be deducted from a road employee's paycheck would be approximately 1.5% reduction in their net or take-home pay. In conclusion, the road and transfer station employees have been surprised by this news. They feel the way they have heard about this through radio clips, YouTube videos, hearsay is the wrong way to hear about it. The feeling is also that a change in deductible and out-of-pocket max combined with a contribution is too much change for the employees at one time. Road employees and transfer station employees also question if this is a one-time instance or will future budgets again have the same problems. And the final comment from me as a department head is making employees pay additional significant payments for health insurance is going to make it difficult for secondary roads and transfer station to retain and recruit good employees. On behalf of the secondary road department and transfer station, I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Doug. Any other department heads?
I'll go next. I could basically second everything that Doug just told you. The sheriff's department supports the road department, and we have 25 employees, and I think we do an outstanding job of protecting the county 24 hours a day. So when we talk about what we're going to do for budget-wise, one of the questions that I have for the board, the gentleman mentioned earlier about maybe trying to cut 10%. For the last 3 years, the sheriff's office has returned 10% of our budget at the end of the fiscal year. Last year, we returned $517,000 into the general fund. So as employees, they're asking me, what happened to that money? That's $517,000 on June 30th of last year that got brought back into the general fund. So if we want to look at making cuts, sure. We could start closing the sheriff's office. Maybe at 6 o'clock we send everybody home. But I think you all seen what happens around the county when you have a lack of law enforcement. The sheriff's office is approximately, and I'll ask the people, what part of Kossuth County budget do you think our budget is? Out of 100% of Kossuth County's budget, what percentage of it is the sheriff's office?
5%?
Higher than that. Public safety is around 17–18% of the budget. So out of that, the millions of dollars that we go through, we're about 18% of that budget. The only way we're going to cut is to cut employees. And to cover 3 shifts a day shift, evening shift, and overnight shift, we need to have that many employees. When we start talking about, Mr. Miller brought up the perfect intent, probably one of the toughest jobs as department head is recruiting and retaining good employees. For the 3 years that I've been sheriff, we averaged 1 or 2 applications. When I got hired 37 years ago, we had 70 to 80 applications. People aren't interested in getting into these careers. And it's tough enough when we're offering a wage, a competitive wage. Right now, around the area, a deputy sheriff can go next door and make $25,000 per year more. They may pay a little bit for their insurance, but they're making about $25,000 more. So when we have to recruit and try to bring in good people, that's what they look at, the comparables around. So it's difficult. As a department head, I understand that we can try to cut as much as we can, but you all know as a public, what's vehicles cost in the last 3 years? What we used to pay $40,000 to get a patrol vehicle on the road is now $60,000 to $70,000. So everything has gone up in price. The only way we're going to cut is the services, is our employees, because that's probably about a large majority of our budget. The Kossuth County Jail is about 40% of our budget. We can close the jail, but we're not going to save any money because now we're going to have to retain employees to do our daily transports back and forth. We're going to pay other counties to hold our inmates. You know, years ago when I started out, we'd average maybe 2 or 3 inmates a day. Now we're averaging 15 to 20. And when I say average, that means every day in and out of our doors, we're averaging 15 to 20 inmates. So it's a service that we provide, and for our employees, when we start talking about should we start paying for insurance, that's a tough decision that you guys are going to have to make. But I would second for Doug, the 37 years I've been here, every year that we've negotiated wages for our employees, the feedback from the board was, well, remember, you're getting insurance paid. For 33 years of my career, we averaged a 2% or less pay raise in our wages. Okay, for the first 33 years I was here, I looked back, I looked at my form that I get back from Mipers, and it averaged about a 2% pay raise per year. And the reason we accepted that is because our insurance was included. We figured that as part of our benefit package. But now if you're gonna start cutting that back, for the past 3 decades, the wages didn't stay competitive with what we were doing for the cutback on the fact that the insurance was a benefit. So we have to make a decision as a county. I understand it, I pay taxes too. I just dropped my taxes in the box last week. We have to make a decision. If we want to cut services as a department head, the only thing I can do to cut services is to cut employees. And I don't think we want to see the sheriff's office closing the door at 8 o'clock at night. We'll know what's going to happen between 8 o'clock at night and 7 o'clock the next morning. But I just want you to keep in mind that, and I can only speak for myself, but I'm already turning back in an average of 10% per year. $517,000 last June 30th came back in your general fund. I don't know what happened to it.
Thank you. Anyone want to speak next? Department heads? Kendall?
Conservation Board is a very small piece of the pie when we look at the total budget, but our employees feel the same way. This year we got 0% raise. In past years, we've generally been 3 to 4%, trying to keep our employees up to what the statewide average is across the state, similar to what the other people are doing. And so we feel we took a big bump this year, 0% increase, which will obviously go for a year and a half. And then you come with cutting insurance 2 different ways. That's pretty hard on employees when we do all that in the same year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I feel the same way as Doug and Roger and Kendall. I have good employees. They show up every day and they work, and a lot of times, you know, we're not out of there right at 4 and things like that, and skip breaks and take short lunches, and I know the feeling is the same with them as everyone else, all the other employees that you know, not getting a raise this year, and then paying a higher deductible, and then possibly having to pay part of the premium. That's quite a bit in 1 year. Thank you.
Thanks,
I'll
Nick.
echo what Nick said for my office employees, and as well, Doug said, the employee morale is so low because we don't know from day to day what this board is going to do. A 3-month notice for a $500 a month possible premium is going to put some people out. It's part of the salary package. People don't always understand that, and as far as services being cut, I agree with Roger. When the rubber meets the road, that's what's going to happen. You may not have some things here in the courthouse that you're used to. Just think hard on what's going on today, and it's not all about raising taxes. I pay taxes as well. We all as a group for county employees want to remedy this. We're not against that. But on the backs of employees isn't the answer. Not in 3 months. Thank you.
Thank you.
Completely agree with what everybody else here has said. And to extend on what Karen said a little bit, is I've been here for 25 years and insurance has been brought up almost every year since I've been here. And talking to most employees, they expect that that's going to change, but they don't expect it to happen in 3 months. They expect it to happen when they've been given a little bit notice, had time to prepare and react to it, especially in the same year where they're not getting any raises and their deductibles are already going up. So I don't think anybody's questioning the dedication we have from our employees or the work that they do, because it's amazing and we should be thankful for that. We just can't expect them to take that impact in 3 months. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just echo everything and also be the second half of public safety that Roger Fisher mentioned. Just to kind of bring you up to speed, crime in the last 10 years in Kossuth County has increased 34%. You know, and looking at it from the last 10 years, we've had 9 murders. Violent crime has gone up. those types of things no one wants to see in their county or anywhere, but it happens here. I grew up here. I never imagined something like that would occur here, but it did. In looking at least the last 10 years, my budget hasn't changed with the exception of at least what I can control. Since I started, my office has basically been the same with the addition of one position about 20 years ago. And that's a victim witness coordinator. Provides direct services to victims and witnesses and assists in the prosecution to provide those individuals with a voice in the system. Oftentimes, the system is criticized for not giving them a voice. But as far as what I can control, I haven't had any increases in my budget for the last 10 years that I can remember, and I would think that it was longer than that. So the only thing that I have increasing in my budget would be the wages, the insurance, those benefit packages. So we're doing what we can, as echoed by, I'm gonna echo what everyone else says, we have amazing employees. They do what they're asked. My office is open from 8 o'clock in the morning until 4:30 at night. And oftentimes these employees go without breaks. They'll take the lunch, they'll go without breaks, but they'll stay as long as I need to have them do the work. They do what's asked of them and more. If we were to lose employees, I think that would be, that would create a tremendous lack of services, at least in law enforcement, I know, and I'm sure in the other departments. So, you know, I found out here recently that morale is really low. I know that when we were meeting a week or two ago, we tried to eliminate what we could in the budgets as far as reducing the amount. We tried to do what we can. I think we came up with $80,000. So to hear that we're inflated, I find that hard to believe. Now, whether or not we're going to do something with insurance, I'd like to know exactly how much that's going to save in comparison to what we may lose. Because the problem with losing employees, if they have to go somewhere else to make ends meet, then what we have is a lack of ability to recruit new ones in. We may be able to find people to work. Well, will they be the quality, and will they have the capabilities that the people that serve you have here in this courthouse now? I don't know. But in talking to others, I haven't hired in a while, but in talking to others, the number of people who are applying for positions is very, very low compared to what it was in the past. So be mindful of the fact that whatever happens with the budget, whatever happens with the insurance, could cause unintended consequences. And those unintended consequences come back to providing service to all the taxpayers, which I'm also one. So, I mean, I don't like to pay increase in taxes either. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll go next. So I'm kind of the new guy here, the new department in the county. We've worked over 3 years, a little over 3 years, trying to build an EMS system for this county. We still are not fully staffed in 3 years. We still have one position open. We just do not get the applicants. It's very hard to do so. When our staff moved over to the county July 1 of this year, so they've only been on the job into the county for less than a year, 9 months, I believe it is right now. Their wage was set on the benefits we have. My EMS people start at $20 an hour. If we impose a $500 charge to these people, that's a $3 an hour pay cut right off the top. As you said, morale is a big issue right now. The morale has dropped significantly. 2 months ago, when I sat in front of this board, we reviewed my budget. We approved a 4% pay raise for my staff. That was taken away, so I'd go back and say that was taken away. Then we changed their deductible on their health insurance, so that was taken away. The board sat here at that time and made a motion, unanimous motion by every one of you that said, we will not charge you for your insurance. We changed the deductible, we're not doing pay raise, but we will not do any more. It just keeps coming back on the agenda. It's like a mission that you have to finally get enough people say enough's enough, let's pass this. I think the employees have stepped up enough to do their part. I agree, I don't wanna raise taxes, I pay taxes too, just like everybody else stated here. I would love to find a way to cut taxes, but I think the employees have done their part, and to keep asking more and more from the employees is not fair. We talked about reducing services. If we do this, what are we reducing? EMS. We just decided we're not gonna answer calls from 8 PM till 7 AM. Don't have a heart attack, don't have a car accident, we won't be there. I do not want to do that. We worked too hard to get where we're at today, to go backwards, so please just make a decision, put this behind us so we can start rebuilding morale. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just reiterate what everybody else has said. Morale is down and I have staff that's worried about having another source or something else to pay for, such as insurance. And I have at least 4 people who could retire, and if they retire, and I can't get the people to hire, we will have to close the jail doors. And I reached out to counties around us. Their room and board is not lesser than $60 a day. So $60 a day for 30 days is significant, and that's going to come out of our budget. So I guess you gotta weigh your odds, which one, helps out the best. But I think the worst thing is that we're kind of losing like a little bit of trust here. I come back and I tell them, well, we're not gonna get raises this month or this year. Okay, we've accepted that. We're gonna raise our deductible. Okay, we accepted that. At what time is that finalized? Why, keep coming back and losing trust of my employees, and it's really hurting on job performance, I guess. I can't ask them to keep giving me your all. They do transports on their days off. They come in and help when I need them. We have emergency calls, and I'm asking a lot of them, so to give them the benefits that we've always offered is, to me, we should keep that for them. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you. Chris?
Same as everybody else, I'm just hoping that whatever you guys decide, I still have employees. Because they've already said that, they're not sure if they can make ends meet with that, depending on the decisions.
Thank you. Do you have any other?
So, what I've heard from the board is we've got 98 families that have family health insurance, and you're talking about a $14,000 pay cut for those employees by cutting the family portion of health insurance, which is a huge decrease for most of the families here. And I don't know how we would retain employees if we went that route. So I think everyone else did a nice job of stating what we are all concerned about, but we're just not going to get people to apply with that. And on the sheriff's department side too, one thing Roger didn't bring up is that we are a double county, and we have half the staff of what Winnebago and Hancock have. In theory, we should have double the amount of deputies that we have, but we don't, to try and keep the cost down. So with that.
Thank you. Is there anyone else for department heads? Okay. Next item up is to discuss a change in employee health insurance package. Obviously, we've had discussion today, had discussion prior to this. Don't know if you all saw in your email or not, but we got quotes from Wellmark late in the day yesterday with a high deductible plan option. I guess just first question, in regards to kind of insurance and the budget, both are, we'll just go down the line. Are you interested in looking at the budget and making cuts, or where do you each stand?
Well, I think for me, the first thing we need to do is there's been a lot of uncertainty about how much the budget is going up. And I think we need to find out first, how much is it going up, and find out what's causing it to go up before we start going back to that. I was in talking to Tammy this morning.
Yeah, nobody can hear you back.
And I'd like, so Tammy, I'd like to, let's go through those numbers that we talked about this morning, try to get a handle on just exactly how much it's going up and then what's causing it. And then we can start looking at, okay, how do we fix it? But we have to know what we're dealing with first, and there's a lot of, I don't think anybody really understands, what the numbers really are. And I think we need to get a handle on that first. So Tammy, I'd like to have you kind of go through those numbers again and, so we all have a better idea of what we're dealing with.
Sure. So, let me pull that up here. I made a spreadsheet, and you all should have it in your packets. I think some of you saw it this morning. That breaks down what our expenses have been and what our revenue has been for the last, since 2020, 2021. So Jack, I did not write down the number this morning, so I'm gonna have to figure that again. Maybe I did. Of what the increase in amount in our budget's going to be this year. It's 15.68% increase in the taxes that we will be collecting, which is $1,762,157. Okay, so if you look at the spreadsheet that I gave you, it will show the different in expenses from year to year. We had a $500,000 budget amendment in October. So that $500,000 budget amendment reduced our ending fund balance for this next year, because budget amendments are not calculated in the levy. It comes out of our fund balance. We've had increases in budgets, of course. Let's see, what else did we talk about? We have to remember that Nick did bring it to our attention that our investments have been doing better than he expected. He budgeted $75,000. He's expecting $500,000. So that's an extra $425,000 that we will have in that ending fund balance. So you have to keep that in mind also. That is not in the budget. So that's an extra amount. He has already received over $300,000.
466,000.
So we're well on way to that $500,000 goal.
For the current budget.
The one we're in now, yes. We also have to remember, so I looked at the numbers of where we're sitting right now for our budget. For the year, we're only at 70, sorry, I think we're at 50. Gotta grab that right.
And while Tammy's looking for that, I know there's been stuff online that we had a 15% increase last year and then another 15% this year. That's not true. Last year there was a 7% increase, which included the dollars for EMS.
Yeah, last year was the first year we had EMS, which was 75 cents per thousand, and that was a voted levy.
And our total dollars for the levy went from $6.69 to $7.16. So the question's been asked where that extra money went from that we were previously contributing to EMS, and the proof is in the levy rate. That difference was not levied. The whole difference of 75 cents was not levied. So I just wanted to emphasize that. And then also in the mailer that went out, it showed total tax dollars coming in, which calculates out to a little over 19%. just under 3.5% of that comes from other county taxes and TIF, which in that line item includes local option sales tax, which we estimated over $1 million. It also includes utility tax and replacement excise taxes, which that total is over 650,000. So 3.5% of that increase comes from that category of funds rather than property taxes. So I just wanted to explain that a little bit.
Okay, so right now where we are with the budget that we're in currently is we're at about 75% of the budget year. We've only used 64% of our budget. So right now, unless we have some huge expenses, our fund balance will be quite a bit higher than what we have projected. So we have to keep that in mind also. That we'll probably be giving, like Roger said, quite a bit back like we usually do. So we have to keep that in mind as well.
What percent did you say was used?
64.42. Thank you, Amber. Thank you for looking through those numbers and pointing that out. So we've done a lot of figuring. Another thing I want to mention is House File 718, which I know everybody's tired of hearing. I'm tired of saying. Has changed a lot of things, and one thing that it changed was the 65 and older exemption, which means that your property value, taxable property value, was reduced $3,250, which reduces the amount that we get in property taxes. It affected our taxable value by $4 million. I thought that was going to be a bigger amount than what it was. It only affected the county $40,000, but that's still $40,000 less than what we have gotten before. Also, our rollback has changed. The rollback used to be 54%, it's now 46%.
For residential.
For residential. So this year, in our general basic, we only got $30,000 more than we did last year. We did not even come close to reaching that 3% growth. So that rollback has also limited how much we're collecting in taxes. Is that about what we talked about this morning, Jack?
Yeah, we just need to know, where that 1.7 is coming from, what's causing it, and then before we can look at how can we get that back down to, a more livable number.
So I think I mentioned everything, unless you can think of something I forgot.
Did you guys see the Excel sheet Tammy had in the folder?
Yes.
Okay.
The Excel sheet that we're looking at is a comparison to the last 3 fiscal years of expenses and how each department has increased or decreased in revenue or expenses within that department.
That's a comparison
Yeah.
across the years. So I guess from the board, does anyone have a place they want to start for discussion?
Jack, being you were gone.
I think we need to first look at, where can we cut, what can we cut, before we get into the insurance part of it. We need to look at what can be, you have go through each department and kind of see if there's anything there that's, look at how much each department is going up. Are they going up, 10%, 5%, 15%, 20%? We need to start with the departments and see if there's anything there that can be, shaved back to start with.
We kinda did that when you were gone,
Yeah,
Jack.
we did that last week.
Well, that's where we came up with that 80,000.
Yeah, so we cut every 6
Have more interest income than what we do when we did the budget. Roger gave back 500 and some last year, you expect to do the same this year?
About 10% is what I'm anticipating, yeah.
That's 900,000.
10% of your current budget?
That's what we're on pace for, but I can't predict what's gonna happen in the next 3 months.
Well,
If we have a
And
major
this is the
emergency.
figure. So,
That's for total.
total.
Exactly, I'm not ready to admit it.
So of course, there's probably still some big things that are yet to come out of this budget, but right now, if we stay on track where we are now, we're gonna be giving back, I'd say over 4 million. But again, there's probably things that are gonna come out of that I don't know, and that includes secondary roads, so you gotta take that out of it too. So I think we're gonna be giving back probably $1 million, I don't know, we'll have
Some
to
of that will
see.
go under the real basic, don't
Yeah.
it? So
So-
that's really
Road.
not where we got a problem,
Yeah.
we got a problem in general.
Well, which department are you talking about, Roger?
So then Tammy, that $500,000 budget, that was a one-time,
We do a budget amendment every year.
right, but that was an extra large one.
That was a
That-
$500,000 one, and some of it was ARPA funds in there, but that still comes out of the
That's
general.
not, that won't be in the next budget. So is that gonna have an impact on?
No, that's already been taken out.
Right,
No, and we looked at what was left for ARPA funds and stuff, and that has been budgeted. So the very high majority of what we still have to spend for ARPA dollars has already been budgeted, already been taken into account. So it shouldn't be an ongoing issue.
but my question, that was money that we took out of the current budget. That's not gonna, that won't be in the next budget. Is that gonna have any impact on the next budget, not having that $500,000 hit?
No, cause that's already included, that's already been figured in the ending fund balance.
Well, we should just pull it up.
So let's say, I think I told you this morning, Tammy, I was looking at trying to get this down to something workable, like maybe a 5%. So what number is that if we can get down to 5%? What kind of increase is that in the total budget?
I can go in,
5% increase roughly would be a 2/3 reduction in the tax increase. Cause we're at 15.6, so divide that, or just take the total tax dollars, divide by 3.
You're saying lower by 5% or get down to 5%?
Get down to
Total,
5%.
total minus the, minus the current.
oh, what did I do with that? Did I write that down?
Wasn't it 1.?
1.134 million is 2/3 of 1.7. Or is, excuse me, is 5%. Or no, that'd be 2/3, excuse me, yep, I was right on
You gotta
that.
get down to about 7 something,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's
in my fuzzy math,
6 to
you would be at
25,
75. Somebody do it with a calculator.
587,000.
Yeah, just shy of 600.
587,385.
So we need over $1 million in reductions to expenditures.
But remember, you have the 400 and,
So, and that's when you gotta start, taking out, like, we're looking at 400,000 in interest. And
But an extra 400,000 in interest is this current year, which will affect the fund balance.
Correct.
It'll affect,
But how is that going to affect our tax asking for the next budget?
it'll raise our beginning fund balance. You won't
Right.
have to ask for as much in the tax dollars because your beginning fund balance will be higher.
Correct.
And then you can
On-
expect higher interest rates next year, same, but I
Well-
think they're going down that quick.
But that would be the caveat to it, is if or when those rates come back down, that'd be a reduction in revenue that we'd be banking on that wouldn't be there, so. There's no crystal ball to say how long that's gonna last.
May I ask a question?
Go ahead, Doug.
Briefly,
It sounds to me like what you're trying to do is an amendment to your budget so that you can show, you can re-estimate your ending fund balance for the current fiscal year. You keep on talking about that. I mean, unless you amend it, you can't change the ending fund balance. And what does it take to do an amendment?
well, there'd be normal process for doing an amendment, but I guess for today's sake, we can't do an amendment right here, right now, that's not an option with publishing and all that, so.
So is it even worth it to discuss that?
Can I add
It's-
something? You don't have to amend revenue.
No,
You don't have to amend revenue. I mean, if you're going to spend more expenses, yes, you have to, but revenue, you do not have to amend. The revenue's there. It's gonna be there regardless if you amend it or not.
Yep, and that's a good point, just because at the end of the day, I mean, we can mentally figure and know that it's there and it's part of our equation, and that's where, when we had talked about the interest before, we didn't talk about doing a formal amendment, we just kinda had it in the back of our minds as a piece of the puzzle, so I don't know that that's.
Just one more.
I have to leave, so I have one more question as you guys are discussing that. So it sounds like the excess or the extra revenue will be in general basic. You guys moved stuff out of general basic to general supplemental, which is why you had to raise general supplemental. So what you're talking about now, I don't think will fix the problem, because the excess tax was added to general supplemental. So that's kind of how you skewed your budget a little bit to try and, protect that general fund, but now you're talking about the extra revenue in general basic, but the extra's been taxed in the general supplemental, so I think you guys gotta consider that before you go forward.
Yep.
May I ask a question?
No.
Understanding what you said, you're short over $1 million this year, roughly, right? And what is your estimate being short next year? Because if you're gonna fix this year, it doesn't do any good to have you short next year, not address it.
Well, there is another issue that was discussed during budget workshops, for secondary road department in particular. The taxes that we have in our budget were raised over at $1 million, and we could only raise rural taxes by 30,000 with the House file limit, so that's not a sustainable number, so that's gonna be a potential impact of next year.
You're gonna have to fix them both together, because you're gonna right back in the same boat.
Yep.
So what is your number next year? You figure you're gonna be short actual number?
Well, we don't have numbers for next year, but just the dollar wise of what's in the budget, that's not sustainable.
Well, Roger alluded last week to being $4 million short next year.
Short next year if we don't do anything.
Well, not doing anything isn't an option because we won't have money to ooperate, so.
But you're gonna be real short unless there's a bigger fund balance, and I think there is.
I don't know a different way to say it than not doing anything isn't an option to keep things working. It's just not, I don't know a different way to say it than that. But I guess, the point of general supplemental increasing, yes, that's because things were moved that could qualify for supplemental. If we have extra revenue and general basic, stuff that's for interest, that's higher than budgeted. If we have expenses that we don't anticipate to spend, that's great, but we don't know what the next 3 months are gonna bring either. So it's hard to judge how much of that we can count on. The interest income is helpful, and that's probably gonna be reliable for the rest of the year, or rest of this budget year. I mean, I don't see interest rates falling off a cliff in 3 months, but, at the end of the day, if we figure extra fund balance or extra, income on general basic, we can move things back. Either partial or all of it, but, I don't see where we're gonna be able to do that to bridge the gap. I think,
Talking about moving the deputies back to general basic.
well, that's what we moved out, so that's the only thing that makes sense to move back.
But the problem is, we have a problem with general basic.
And my point, yep,
Which is, you're not gaining anything if you move them back. I think it's the right thing probably, but we can't do it this budget year. So, where do we find $1 million? That's where my question is. We're a service oriented industry. Most of the service industry is wages and benefits. The sad fact is, if you're gonna make it work, you're gonna cut wages and benefits somewhere.
Amber, you have one more brief comment?
Yeah, just real quick, so I had asked Tammy for some stuff and her and I talked about this, and when I added up all the expenses that are left for this fiscal year, granted my numbers were through the end of February because, you know, obviously March is a huge month for all of you, so that wasn't quite done yet. At the end of February, there was still $3.3 million of expenses that hadn't been expended throughout all departments in general basic. I only looked at general basic. The revenue was about, I believe, $500,000 less than what those expenditures were. So if Nick has more coming in for revenue, that is going to help that. If you spend every penny in general basic, which we all know you won't because we never do, we're always preparing for the worst case scenario of the budgets. If you spend every penny and get every penny plus the excess that Nick is getting in those investments, you should be flush. So the general basic then, I don't understand why it wouldn't be healthy. So that's my only comment, and I do have to leave, but is there anything you want to say before I leave to that comment, or no?
Thank you for explaining that better than I did, so.
It's fine, but it should level out, so that's all I have to ask. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Amber.
Thank you.
I used to have the issue with supplemental.
Yeah,
You gotta move stuff out of supplemental.
and that's what we, well, yeah, that's,
Well, we have to make it work.
cause supplemental's the levy that's not restricted by the state for the components of it. But you guys got any other suggestions?
Do we own, the county owned, is that like 230 acres or something? Somebody was telling me that that's 230 acres.
What does that bring in for income a year?
Would that be worth selling? I know it's a one-time shot, but.
It's not gonna solve our problems today, so, I mean,
Do we need to be in the farming business?
it's not gonna solve our problems for today.
Well, why are we still in the farming business?
I understand your concerns. I don't have a different answer than that. It's not something,
$90,000 a year, so.
yeah.
What would it bring in if you sold it?
Who knows?
Well, yeah.
What's it gonna bring?
Can I say something to that statement?
Yeah.
When you start selling off your assets, that's a sign of a same ship that's already on the waterline, it's too late. So, I mean, that's my opinion on that, that's all I'll say.
It's not a long-term solution.
It may
We
fix
can't-
your issue 1 year, but.
Yeah, we can't pay ongoing expenses with one-time money.
There is one building we could look at eliminating, which would be the election center, because we have the other building down at UGC, which could cover both of those.
After all the money that we've spent getting that up to par.
Well, I'm just saying, it's an option. It's an option. I don't think we really necessarily need to keep that building, and as long as we have the UGC building now, we can incorporate that into both buildings.
Remember, we have to keep our election equipment secure, so if you're talking
Right.
about moving us, we need to be in a secure
Yeah,
location.
well, I understand.
And we just put new security over there. That decision should have been made before the money was dumped into that, not
Was that
after.
ARPA funds that went to that, or was that?
No, that was before.
That was, okay.
That's why you can't do anything in the UBC building, because that's our funds.
Oh, we could, I don't know that has, impact on whether we keep that or not.
It was my understanding that ARPA funds, you had to keep what you spent it on for a period of time.
Sure, there's some type of limitation.
We can dig into those, guidance rules from Treasury farther and get clarification on that. I'm not gonna say 100% that I have an answer on that right now, but I will say the rules for what qualifies for ARPA dollars are rather wide in general. So I think there's probably some flexibility there.
But just so we can take one thing at a time here, with next extra 400,000 in revenue, applying that to next year's budget, is that something we can count towards that $1 million that we're looking to make up?
Yes.
Okay, so then we want at least.
So if we said
at least 600,000.
It was
more
is it
that we wanna
1.1?
come up with here.
What?
Is it 1.1 or just over $1 million?
It was 1.1 for 2/3, I don't remember what the 5%.
So yeah, so if you take 400 off that, you'd be at 700,000 roughly.
So,
So that, one of those numbers that comes up that was when Doug lost money in his budget, it fell below the appropriate amount, and was gonna lose that state and federal funding. And then there was another, so all the local option sales tax money went to you, right?
It has been increased to $1 million.
Right, and it used to be 600,000.
Correct.
So what I'm wondering is there an option there that we can take that back to the 600,000 and put that extra 400,000 back to where it was?
The board can choose to do
Well,
what
no,
it wants to do.
no, because you're big, you know.
Well, no, I, last week,
can't-
Jack,
we can't
I brought
afford
it, I just go ahead and say the secondary road department, I gave two, what I thought were pretty simple solutions. The first, eliminate roadside mowing.
Yep, that was.
Eliminate.
Yeah, that was brought up to me.
Eliminate, seasonal workers.
Yep.
Shoulders, they would not be mown. Usually we mow them 3 to 4 times a year, and then we mow them in the fall. We're talking about just mowing them in the fall.
Right, for the snow.
We had 2 members of the public present at that discussion. Half of the members of the public thought it was a good idea. Half the members of the public said, you gotta mow in front of my house. So, I can come up with solutions, but as soon as the board gets a call that these roads need to be mowed, 5 members of the board need to say, we had to cut back on the budget. We can't have somebody calling the road department saying we gotta go out and mow. Somebody calling a foreman saying, we gotta go out and mow. Everybody's gotta have the same answer. We're not doing that anymore to save money. Edge lines, painting edge lines, that's another $125,000.
So
We could eliminate it.
So anyway, how much did you come up with as far as what you could save by doing these things?
Yeah, about 200 and some thousand.
Roughly $250,000.
No construction on gravel roads, we can eliminate $500,000 a year. But when bridges on gravel roads fail, we don't have a they're not in our program. We'll be talking about that in an item on today's agenda. We can increase level B roads. We can increase roads that need to be vacated. We could get rid of roads.
But my question is, that 600, that other whatever, 400, 600,000 was put in there to get you back up to what you needed to get that funding from the state and federal government, right?
You're talking the local effort for
Yes.
75%,
Yeah.
and we talked about.
Because you had fallen, because that you had fell below that, so that we had to make an adjustment there so that you would get that money.
The adjustment's not been made.
So you're still gonna lose that money.
Right now, the county is set to lose, because they have not met local effort by $130,000, the treasurer will be directed to reduce the road use tax that's given to Kossuth County by the same dollar amount, and we will not be allowed to use farm to market funds for next fiscal year.
And that we already acted on, adding $150,000 of local option sales tax to this current budget. That's not for next year, this is current budget. It has not been in a formal amendment.
Okay.
It was in a motion that we would handle at our next amendment.
So then the only option is to, in that, maybe try to look at some of these things you're talking about, not mowing and.
Well, the only way you're gonna reduce expenses is to stop providing the service.
Right.
And it might be popular with some people, it might be unpopular with others.
Might be the less.
But I need guidance from the Board of Supervisors. I mean, if you guys reduce the budget to a point where I have to make those decisions, I will. Right now, it'd be nice that if the Board of Supervisors and the county engineer would work together to make those decisions.
Right, well, absolutely, I agree with you. That's what I'm attempting to do, right now.
So, I mean, I got $600,000 right there with three situations. But the other problem is that, okay, now we're gonna work on paved roads only. A bridge that used to cost $300,000 to construct, and now is using $850,000, $900,000. An inch of pavement per mile used to be right around $20,000, now it's $45,000. We're gonna be doing 2 inches of resurfacing this year in an effort to save funds. But 2 inches won't give you life like 3 inches. So construction, $2 million a year just doesn't go like it did 5 years ago. And that's staying, but what it's causing is no more construction.
But do you think realistically, we could look at 400, 500, 600,000 by cutting some of the services?
If the road department employees do not work any overtime, that means they work Monday through Friday in December. If that snowstorm comes on a Saturday, they don't work. That could be $50,000 to $60,000. Eliminate overtime. I don't know how many people in the public would go for that. That's working 7:30 in the morning till 4 o'clock at night.
Yeah, Rich?
Has any thought been given to, I don't know the particulars, if we would just push back updating some of our equipment a little bit? I understand we all like new equipment, but we've got through maintenance you can drive equipment a long ways, and we got excellent equipment in this county from what I can see. Just a thought, a question, I don't know if it's viable or not.
it's gonna get you somewhere. You're just digging your hole, so.
Question I
And
have,
that's fine too. We
Yeah,
got
it's better
two
than
trucks.
employees.
We have 2 trucks right now that are out of service that I'm aware of. You know, they're not operating. If we don't have snow removal equipment that's operating, you know, people, again, the service is not gonna be provided.
the question I had for you, Doug, for the coming year's budget, you had in the program a $300,000 snow blower. Is that something we can,
I listed that as possible
a
for
possible
equipment.
expense?
We only got $1 million in budget,
Sure,
but I think I showed about $3 million worth of need.
okay,
I mean, that 1984 snow blower didn't operate much this year, thank goodness. But there's gonna be a time where that's not going to operate.
or when we're looking at an equipment like a snow blower, I'm just throwing that out, it's something that's not it's not as important as a grader, a motor grader, or a truck.
We prioritize.
But yeah, I know you do, but, just thinking of ways we can cut some out of the budget there.
Something like that, a piece of equipment, you know, if you only need it, you know, once in a while, if we really got, push come to shove, that's something you can, like, go out and rent for a week.
I don't know if the availability of snow blowers right now is very limited. I know there were, I hate to divert, but the counties in the south end of the state this year wish they had snow blowers. They did.
Or maybe, you know, go to a neighboring county, if they don't have the snow, and they say, you know, can we, you know, rent your snow blower for a week? And
I mean, we could try,
I mean, that's something,
but, you know.
I'm just thinking outside the box, Doug. I'm just trying to.
But ultimately, that equipment, the lack of equipment, the lack of equipment staying in repair will come back to, we'll come back to the issue of, are we able to provide this service? And if people are accepting that, I mean, we had a call, our office manager last week, a guy couldn't drive on his gravel road 55 miles an hour. He was upset.
Yeah, I just had that conversation
We've had-
with Rich this morning and said, you know, that's, how many times do we get a call? Oh my God, my gravel road's got washboards so bad I can't drive my semi over it.
And, you know, county engineers, I'll be honest with you, we've had discussions that maybe we keep our roads in too good a condition. They would be safer if they were only being able to travel 25 miles an hour on them.
Dale. Go ahead.
Just out of curiosity, I mean, in driving around in other counties and stuff, you see a lot more culverts instead of bridges. What is the cost difference on something like that?
Well,
I mean, big box
I'll
culverts.
let Doug answer, but Doug, he puts those in every chance he gets.
Yeah.
If there's any chance that a creek can have a, you know, box culvert, he puts them in. And they're substantially less expensive than, but I should let Doug answer that.
No, they are, but there's certain situations where when it turns into 2 lines or 3 lines of box culverts versus a bridge, it's not, the cost of the box culvert is greater than substantially greater. I know our road department, when we start talking about our program, guys ask, the first question, you're gonna put a box culvert in. Bridges have challenges with snow removal, bridges have challenges with grading. We try, but there are times where the cost of the culvert is too great and we have to go back to the box culvert. Or excuse me, a
My
bridge.
next question is, okay, let's say you could come up with 500,000 unless but you would have to reduce your budget by that amount, right? I mean, we couldn't just We couldn't just say he's not gonna spend it.
We'd have to reduce the
We'd have to
transfers
reduce
to make it
the
work.
budget, like,
I mean, you know, if the goal is to balance the general fund on the road fund, you know, I think the board needs to say that secondary roads, they can expect a drop in maintenance.
yeah, right.
Okay, Rod,
And that whether it's equipment, whether it's road condition, you can expect it, cause not as much
I
money is
understand
being
that.
spent on it.
Rod, you had your hand up.
What's your property insurance deductibles? Your vehicles and buildings, can you raise them? It'll save dramatically in your insurance costs.
I don't have that off the top of my head, but I don't know that anyone's requested other options for that at all. It hasn't been talked
Be
about.
something I'd look into, and it's insurance, and insurance is going up, I mean.
Something to look at for the coming year.
Yeah.
It went up 30%.
It did, yeah.
For the county premiums.
I guess on the new equipment topic, we've got under 1.2 million spent in the current budget, with the amendment has 3.5 million, so if we spend all of that, there's still well over $2 million to spend yet. That would be an area that could be addressed with current planned expenses.
Long-term fix.
We have to get through this year first.
Exactly.
We have a very
Gotta start.
pressing issue right now, we have to.
Yep.
I understand it's probably a Band-Aid fix, but
We gotta start
we
somewhere.
have to get through this budget first before we worry about the next one.
Yeah, go ahead,
I just
briefly.
wanna share some perspectives as a business owner. Commenting on the levy that we added an increase for EMS, to a property owner, that's still an increase, so I want you guys to be aware of that, but, the other thing I'm looking at is our population in this county is getting older, younger people are moving away, so that's gonna decrease our tax base with rollbacks. Your health insurance, I'm gonna give you a perspective from a business owner. In 2013, it was $800 for a family of 4. I pay all of mine out of my pocket. I don't have the luxury of having someone else pay for me. And this year, it's $2,890 for a family of 3. That's what I have to pay. You have to decide, do you go, that may apply a nice house on a lake, but do you want to have insurance, or do you want to take that risk? Business increases in costs, so the county's probably having these same things. The cost of my goods and materials and services across the board have increased 42% in the last 4 years. So that means the county's probably seeing the same numbers. Employee wages have increased over 50% in the last 4 years. Now keep in mind, I was probably lower. Now I'm probably at the higher end of the spectrum for Kossuth County, because I didn't want my employees leaving. It's the only thing keeping my business viable. So I had to give up personal income to try to keep those things in place. As my wages haven't increased personally, my income myself hasn't increased. The cost of my sales have increased by 20%, but the business didn't see that as a growth on that number. So we had to find ways to reduce overhead. In other words, you start looking, how do we make our employees more efficient? How do you in other words, well, that piece of equipment that we're talking about maybe not getting, would that mean one less person hired in the next couple of years, that you might have needed, that's reduced because the equipment can do it quicker, faster, better. They show up for work. Large businesses have left this town. They've not really been replaced. We've had some decreased revenue in that. When those businesses leave, you also have reduced tax base and other things like that. I'm almost done. And of course, one of the other things, online sales. for my business has gone through the roof. Nobody does over the phone even anymore. Nobody does mail order. Everything just seems to be going online. That reduces your income. So I'm stating that as a perspective as your county is getting attacked in many ways, and it's not just property taxes, but I think what we're struggling with as people here, I'm speaking for a few, is sudden huge increases coming all at once. And so that's what all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess another question I'd like to pose to, because there's such a large crowd here. Another thing that was, call that I got was possibly, not giving the fair the $30,000 for the free gating. What's the public feel about that?
That's not for the free gate.
5,000 is for the free gate,
5,000, but
30,000 is
for
towards
the
their savings for the grandstand.
But anyway, the $30,000.
Then you got economic development.
Then we also,
Charge more for the venue there.
What's that?
Let them charge more for the venue.
And you all know I've been a staunch supporter of economic development for various reasons. The one big reason, and I've told the story over and over again, is that they were single-handedly responsible for keeping Snap-on in our community. Snap-on had already made made an option on a place, I think in Arkansas or someplace. They were gonna move. And I was on the board at that time, and it was very, very tense. I was really worried. I thought they were gonna leave. But economic development found $1 million from the state in order to grant to help them build that new warehouse out there. So I mean, I've been a very staunch supporter of them. But, maybe it's a time where we need to maybe cut back on how much we give them too. I think wouldn't be necessarily in support of taking it all away, but we could pull that back some too. But between those two, we might come up with another 100,000.
If we continue to have major property tax increases, we might not need economic development.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
True.
It's 125.
Yeah.
So, Doug can come up with some, and we can start from Nick. Maybe we can come up with another 100 or 150,000 through some of these other things.
Okay, we have a question.
What is the current equipment program for rollover? Like, if it's 2 years old, we roll it new. If it's 5 years old, if it's got 4,000 hours, what are our standards?
For motor graders, 10,000 hours, which is about 20 years. Trucks right now, Nick, Hope, will you help me? The oldest Sterling we have right now?
25 years old.
25 years old.
To work like a brand new truck.
We by no means are rolling equipment over every 5 years.
We have several motor graders well over the 10,000.
Yeah.
We've got 10 of them that have mechanical fuel injection yet, they're that old. We've got 16 Sterling trucks.
That's fine.
Can't get parts for.
I'm just curious of what the program is.
Well, and the worst part of the program is you only got 2 mechanics. You got one fabricator, one mechanic, trying to maintain 200 pieces of equipment.
So is there a unit repair and maintenance cost that just broke down? So every unit costs this many dollars per year to run this unit, or this many dollars per hour? You guys don't track that?
It's difficult.
It is,
Because
it's equipment, it's hard, but.
we don't, for example, our fuel pumps, we're not calibrated. When it says it pumps a gallon, we don't know for sure if that's 1.1 or 0.9.
Well, not so much the fuel, but just repair and maintenance is more what I'm curious, because with the equipment the way it is today, I think anybody that runs it can agree that we've seen things that are a year old or 2 years old just out of warranty that cost us way more dollars in R&M than what this 10-year-old, 20-year-old piece does. And I'm not saying we gotta keep them for 50,000 hours, I'm just saying there's some of them that we need to dump. And then some of these older ones, like right now, where we're all trying to make some sacrifices and cut some money, we can keep 1 or 2 of them that doesn't cost us a bunch.
So to answer your question,
This machine here is a 2001 oil grader. It took me 13 months to get a radiator. The next machine, it took me 2 months to get me a valve cover gasket from Caterpillar. So all this old equipment, they are on themselves phasing out.
Well, and I find that hard to believe. I run a lot of old equipment. I go to Ziegler's and I can still get parts for a 3208 cat, and that's a 40
And
motor.
they're phasing that stuff out. So like here, it's just, where we're gonna be in trouble is we have like what they're gonna work or not. At the
Yeah,
end of time.
Nick, we're gonna need to go back to a board discussion, we
No,
can't
and
hit the
that's
same
fine, but I
topic.
think the community thinks our equipment's in better shape than it really is. We have more older, aged out equipment than most people understand.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
You had your hand raised, did you have a quick comment? Or you're good, okay.
Just speak up.
Okay.
Couldn't hear half of what he was saying. I'm sitting right here, man, with the people in the back. You ever think about adding microphones and speakers in here?
How much more you wanna pay in taxes?
We're trying to cut the budget anyway.
Well, people aren't understanding what you're saying.
The owls, I will, well, guys, I will say, for anyone that can't hear every word right now, the owls are positioned up front, so the recording should pick that up. If we don't have background noise from all other directions, the owls usually do a pretty good job of capturing audio and video.
But bringing
Back to board conversation here.
So if we have 400,000 from Nick and Doug, out of Doug's budget, thinking maybe around 500,000, is that, and we already came up with 70. Talking about the fair, that's 30,000, that would be $1 million then, we're at right there, like exactly. I don't know what you guys.
So in economic development, I think get it down to 5% increase in taxes.
Maybe full economic development back.
Yeah.
Drop that to what, 75,000 versus 125?
Drop that number. I drop it down farther yet, because you're gonna do it 1 year, it doesn't have to be permanent.
That's the problem, is if it's not ongoing changes, it's not gonna work. The numbers aren't gonna line up.
Well, it's like anything else, it's like taxes, but once you put it in place, they don't really ever come down, so. It's just, if you take it away, it's probably not gonna go back up.
Oh.
Nobody likes paying taxes either, so.
I think economic development has a value here, and if we don't try to encourage new things happening around here, we might as well close up shop.
But like it's been stated, if we can't, do our due diligence, we're not gonna keep young people around here either. They're gonna go to Des Moines or Minneapolis or wherever.
Real quick, Bill.
Yeah, for most guys, people here, the big question is, if they can balance the budget this year, is insurance gonna be still on the table to do more changes?
Well, for me, I have to say, it's gonna have to happen at some point in time. We can't sustain it. When like this year, originally stopped, with the expenses on the insurance program, originally we thought we had we were gonna put 20% more money into it.
I understand what you're saying.
So I mean, that just isn't sustainable from
That's
just
fine.
the
But being
employer.
this is part of the package, are you gonna do the other end? Because you're taking money away from people with the insurance cost. Are you gonna offset it with raises?
The whole rest of the world is feeling the same exact thing,
I know
whether you're
this.
private sector.
You will lose health and you'll cause a long-term devastation down the road.
Right, but it's the property owners or independent business owners, we get charged insurance, we have to pay more, we get less money. But if you're a county worker, you're gonna continue to get more. It's one-sided paying for it.
I highly disagree, sir.
How is it,
I think,
Because if we don't have the money, you're not gonna get your services done because you're gonna lose personnel.
and I agree with that. I totally agree with that, but everybody has to take the sacrifice.
We have.
And that's what I'm saying, everybody is.
I think we need to look at the fact here,
Alright, so here's.
Nick, hang on here a second, please. I think we need to look at the fact that the 10% increase that we're figuring right now still has an impact on the budget. We said 0% raises. For that to actually happen, health insurance is still part of the equation. Everyone said that's an employee here, is that health insurance is part of the equation. With that being said, the dollars that we had planned to increase for health insurance are just shy of $200 a month for family plans. So that's still an increase. We were gonna go to $20.75 a month for a family plan. And $8.45 for single plan. So if you look at just the difference there, I mean, you're looking in the ballpark of $200 a month for family just in the increase in premium. So if we had the employees pay that, essentially they'd only be paying the difference of what our insurance was going up. And I do have some thoughts and ideas here in that regard after looking at the plan we got yesterday. I don't know if that's an interest to the board, but I think it's something we do need to talk about. The comparisons outside this courthouse for other businesses and employers around here, I think it absolutely needs to be talked about. I think we can keep it reasonable and try and balance the needs of the taxpayers and our employees at the same time, but there is money on the table there. Do you guys have any thoughts, or do you want me to go into some of the numbers I did last night?
Yeah, go give us the numbers.
Okay, well, in comparison with the quote we had got yesterday for a high deductible plan option, and I believe the last final rates
What's that, when you say high, but what's the number?
it's $3,500 for single, $7,000 for family. That is the federal requirements for that going forward. For this, renewals and stuff going forward, Michelle said was $3,200 for single was the lowest dollar high deductible plan option you could have. So we're just above the minimum requirements. And if you compare that with the current plan option that we have with $1,000 deductible for single, $2,000 for family, I know since we did make changes, what we have in our budget was not based on a percent of their estimated suggested rates. But I use that as a comparison because I didn't really have a whole lot else to go on. So what we have in our budget for family rate for the current plan is about 90% of their estimated suggested rates, because we've always been lower than their suggested rates. So if you apply that percentage across all four options, basically the current two options for single and family and the new two options for single and family, the premium that we would contribute to our own fund, or the total dollars that would be contributed for the high deductible option would be $1,850 for family and $740 for single, using 90%. If you look at those dollars, the difference per month is $105 a month for single and $225 a month for family, difference in premium. If we follow the same concept as I laid out with the Alabama schools last week, they contribute, as the employer, they contribute that dollar into an HSA for the employee. If we follow that same structure, we would contribute $1,260 a month for single that are on the high deductible plan, and we contribute $2,700 a year for families that are on the plan. 105 times 12, 225 times 12. If we have the employees pay $250 a month, if they had a family plan, they would get 90% of those dollars back in their HSA. So,
Only if they use the insurance. What's the HSA? Does that qualify for doctor's visits? Is that only if on a major medical?
Apply it to another.
There's a lot of things, like your general healthcare costs. I don't have a specific list, but I think even like eyeglasses,
chiropractor, pills, it's run off a debit card.
yeah, I mean, it's, and I can't even try and lay out every single technicality with that. But I know, I mean, we've had employees in here that have talked about HSAs they've had from previous employers that have been beneficial. That would actually be a new benefit to employees if they got money into an HSA, if they didn't use their dollars for healthcare costs, they would actually keep it instead of paying the insurance company the premium and losing it.
What happens to that money for employees that say don't use it and they leave? Do they get the money?
They keep it, it goes with them, and the difference that we had, no, it's not a check,
You don't just get a cash.
but it's, the HSA is something that rolls over year to year. The flex spending accounts that we have as an option, those are a 1-year basis, and if you don't use it over $500, I believe you lose it. So there.
What about in the event of a death? The employee dies.
I mean, I would assume that would be with their estate. I can't answer every question there, but I guess first off, I think we should implement the high deductible plan and have the credit to employees HSA as an option regardless of whether we have employees contribute or not, because that would be it's additional flexibility and it's additional options to the employees. So regardless, I think we should implement the HSA. But when it comes down to dollars in the budget, that's where a employee contribution would make a difference. And at $250 a month times roughly the current number we have on family plans, that'd be in the ballpark of 300,000.
That's, you're talking about just reduction of what the.
Reduction of what the county would spend, yes.
But you're spending it in HSA then, so it's a wash, ain't it?
No, it's still an employee contribution, so you're reducing the budget on that aspect, but they would get the HSA if they switch to the high deductible plan, and we would pay less in premium that way. So the difference in premium is where the HSA is funded from. The employee contribution is on the top of it. That they're two very separate functions of the budget. The HSA would be funded by the difference in premium that we would pay, not just the insurance as a whole. And I guess really it's not exactly like the school's numbers, but the Algona school contributes $1,550 for singles on their high deductible plan and $33.60 for family, but they have families pay $545 a month. So we would be very close to their numbers with half the contribution for family if we did that. And I guess that's the best attempt I could come up with to balance both worlds. I know it's not an easy decision either way, but I think that would give our employees the flexibility to choose which option fit their situation the best.
What is the added administration cost of that?
There is no fees for the HSA, believe
No,
it.
the administration cost of the health insurance itself, right now, we estimate that the administration cost is $934,000. For fiscal year 2025, what is the estimated administration cost of what you're proposing?
Are you talking from the comparables?
I haven't had an opportunity to.
They're the exact same for administrative fees.
What is the
Total
estimated liability?
total administrative fees for the high deductible plan option and our current plan are $923,110. The estimated max liability to the fund with the high deductible plan option is 3.2 million. With the current plan we have, the estimated max liability is 3.6 million, so there's a $400,000.
I got 2.6 million. Is what we're using for budgeting figures.
Where are you getting that from?
Well, when we spoke about health insurance and we had the budget and we talked about it, the max liability was $2.6 million. The expenditures were 2.1 million.
2.1 million, I do have that on this sheet is 2.142.
Correct.
6 on that plan.
I'm talking, that's attachment points.
points.
The estimated max liability, this is the last plan we got from Michelle prior to yesterday, so it's got 75,000.
I'm just asking, I mean, I have not had an opportunity, but you've got to still look at what Kossuth County's expenses are and what's gonna come out of the fund before you can tell whether the revenue is high enough. You spoke of all revenue there, but you've still gotta look at your expenses and say what is gonna be the net effect of the self-insurance fund. And that's what, I guess the questions that I'm asking, what are the estimated expenses?
Well, I'm not sure where you got the 2.6 million as a max liability of the fund. I don't know that we had an option that had the max liability that low. But this has $1,000 deductible for single, 2,000 for family, with out-of-pocket max being 1,500 and 3,000, 75,000 for stop loss. I don't know what I'm missing here, I guess.
I have the budget sheet that we are estimating using, so.
Well,
I don't have the alternate rates page with me.
I guess.
Well, I'm just looking, if we're looking at, say, another 250,000 there, or whatever. 300, that puts us at about 1.6 million. With the other stuff that we've, put together.
I think that gives us the flexibility to be able to adjust and adapt to other things and maybe still cover some of those other services we talked about. I think the days of we could do a survey of every business in Kossuth County or every business in every neighboring county. The days of 100% family paid premiums were leaving 20 years ago. There should have been, in my opinion, incremental changes over a longer period of time, but I think $250 a month is still very, very reasonable.
So if let's say if we acted on those higher deductibles, the question is then, next year, when you guys come back in to do this and if you enact a monthly fee from the employees, you can take that deductible back down again, can't you, if you want to?
No. So the high deductible.
Deductibles are in place, you can't change it?
The high deductible plan can't go much lower than this with federal requirements. I think, like I said, 3,200 is the lowest, so we can't really go down.
I know the stop loss, once you change that's.
She actually said they still can quote 35,000, but for stop loss, but no one does it because it's
No, what
so,
I'm saying is that stop loss, when it's changed, that can't go back down. That's, when you raise it from 35 to 75, that stays there, you can't go back down to 50.
That was my understanding.
But my question
which
was,
she said that a couple times, but she also did say they can still quote 35, so I don't know, but I don't, for a group our size, it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't make sense to be at the lower levels.
Why didn't the board talk about this last year when you were talking about health insurance?
The numbers we got for changes in stop loss did not make a big enough impact to justify themselves.
Oh, that's not correct.
Right.
The stop loss was raised significantly last year, significantly.
So, Jack, just so I'm on the same page as you, you've got 400,000 from Nick. What do you have, or how, what are your
well,
numbers that you
we're
have?
just rough numbers, I mean, we're looking at, like 400,000 for Nick, we took the fair and economic development, could be maybe around 100,000 there. No, 500,000 from, no, 400,000 from Nick.
Yeah. Were you saying 500 from
And then,
secondary
like
roads?
another, then, you know, insurance could be upwards of 250,000. And, if Doug could, you know, could cut his back, that we're looking at about 500,000. And if I add those all together, I think we're looking at around 1.6. 1.4.
But
13, yeah, 13,4, yeah.
So can I just clarify one thing? So if employees pay $250 for their health insurance, they're gonna pay that regardless if they take the high deductible plan or they stay on the current plan?
Well, we're not.
we could, we could structure that either way. The difference in premium was $225 with, are you ready, or, okay. So the difference I had was $225 a month. We could, hypothetically, we could still pay the full premium for a family plan on the high deductible option and give them $25 a month in an HSA, cause that would be the dollar difference. And then all the premium would be paid for if that was a goal, but at the end of the day, the dollars are,
You're saying
it's
just,
the same net dollars.
just with the high deductible plan,
It's
That's a
200, if you use that,
reduction of 250 to 300,000, just with the high deductible plan, is that what you're saying?
no,
No,
the
no.
dollars reduction in our budget would come from the employee contribution. Unless we completely go away from the current plan we have and just go to high deductible, which I don't think anyone's supportive of that. I think having the options is the best for the employees. But if you use the 90% of estimated rates that I did for Matt, the dollar difference is $225 a month. So if we look at our total dollars in the budget, if, for a lack of better terms, it doesn't matter which way you move them, it's still the same dollars.
I thought you said that just going to the high deductible without an employee contribution was gonna save like 250,000.
Well, if we just went to the high deductible option and got rid of the plan we currently have, if you use that percentage, yeah, it would be $225 a month savings per family plan. But then you would also save on the single side of $105 a month. But I don't
Banking
I
on how many
don't
people
think-
switch.
Well, I don't think having that as the only option is the best for employees. They're used to the current plan we have, yes, the deductibles are still going up, but I think it's to everyone's best interest to have both options on the table.
You have to have a percentage before it qualifies as a program for the county. There has to be a percentage of the members that switch to the high deductible, you can't offer, or it won't be substantial.
When Michelle was here, and she said she would possibly be available by phone and email, if I remember correctly, but believe when she said, when she was here, our employees are, like our number of employees in the plan are still by us as a customer, as Kossuth County. They do their math based on the plan with the most population. Then they take those numbers and translate them over to the other plan to get their suggested rates and stuff, but they still calculate it based off the plan with the most population. But as a unit, we still have our numbers as our pool of individuals.
Well, different position that I was at, we offered a high deductible plan, but we had to have a certain percentage of the people that went into that plan, or they wouldn't accept it. And that was Blue Cross Blue Shield, that's just what I remember.
We could try calling her and ask that, but from her previous explanation, I don't know that we would have any issue there.
Just one question, Carl. You said the second option. Are you saying the insurance we have now is the second option? What is the second option you're referring to?
So the two options I'm talking about is the one we currently have, where everyone's talking about our deductibles we raised. That's our current option.
And what is the cost to the people, cost on them?
What's that?
What would be the cost? Premium?
It would be the same. The way I laid it out, it'd be $250 a month for family plans.
Okay, so $250 either option.
Either way, yep.
Thank you.
Yep,
Out of employees' pockets.
yes, yep.
We wanna
I
call
guess.
Michelle on or not?
Rod had a question.
Okay,
Explain Nick's deal of moving the fucking 400,000 or 500,000. Won't that affect next year's?
so that's not moving anything, it's revenue that we didn't plan on, so it's like on the farm, if you bank on 200 bushel corn and you get 250, it's just extra revenue. It's revenue that we didn't plan on, there's really nothing more to say.
The original number you had plugged in was how many?
75,000 because interest
75,000.
rates were,
But now you're expecting
well,
about
500.
Is that for this year or for?
For the
This
current year.
This year.
what year we're on right now.
Yep,
The other question I have is, you said 923,000 in administration fees for health care?
yes,
So that's roughly $9,000 it costs that fee per employee, right? Roughly? If there's 130 employees.
there's 100, yeah, well,
So is it really a
Be a little less than that.
good plan to have? I mean, you're spending $9,000.
I mean, you're gonna have administrative fees on any health insurance plan you have, that's not unique to our situation, so, I mean,
That's because we're self-insured.
Right, if you get away from the self-insured, it'd be cheaper.
let's,
Agreements.
yeah, let's not even go down that rabbit hole. We got, as far as I'm concerned, we got two options on the table here. Do you guys want to call Michelle quick to ask the one question about whether it qualifies as a plan? Do you have her number dialed up there, Josh, or found it in email? Okay, do you wanna type it in on? Use the conference line. Yeah, $250,000.
But you're not charging them, not having to do anything, it's high deductible.
That's what you said, Rich.
Hang on. Guys, I know everyone wants to talk, but please be quiet here for a second.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying.
So,
take if you start charging for insurance, or people that do provide deductible plans.
I fully agree with what you said. And really, that's where I try to do the comparison of if we do charge, the value they would get back in the HSA is something that they would have personal ownership of. They could use it however deemed necessary. Right now, with the current plan we have, if they go to the doctor and have to pay a deductible, there's no compensation from the county that's covering that besides their regular paycheck. If they went on an HSA plan and did not spend the money for X period of time and then had something happen, the dollars that they got from us as the employer could still pay that expense, which they don't have that option right now.
Where are they gonna get that?
What's that?
Where are they gonna get that extra money? And I'm just gonna point this out as my observation, in looking at my employees and the employees of the courthouse. And you're comparing what's happening out in the private sector. When the private sector gets hit with increased expenses, they raise their costs. Or increased costs, they raise the whatever they're charging. And granted, that's not possible for farmers, I understand that. I mean, it doesn't work across the board, but you're saying, comparing it to the businesses out there, the county with the businesses out there.
So even other counties.
Okay.
Or.
And they raise taxes too. In the last 5 years, how many years did we raise taxes? What's our rate as far as increases over the last 5 years?
Okay, well, this year, it was 15.68, last year, 6.9.
This year that's proposed is 15.68.
6.98, then a negative 0.63, then a raise 0.77, and then 3.81.
Okay.
You gotta remember that's with values of property, all right?
That's total
the
dollars.
increase, yeah, taxable
Not
value, yeah.
not fair market value, taxable value. So looking at it from the standpoint of where we are, and my concern, I'm not saying that this shouldn't be addressed. That's not what I'm trying to say. You're 2 months away from, 2.5 months away from the change. And so worst case scenario, you have a single parent who lives paycheck to paycheck. You said, we're giving you no raise. They've accepted that. We're in tough times. Everyone has to recognize that. Now you've also increased their deductible by $500. So if they take their child to the doctor, it's gonna cost them $500 more. For a family, it's gonna cost them, what is it, $1,000 more? So we've raised that $1,000. So now they're gonna have to come up with $1,000 to pay the doctor or pay the clinic or whatever, to have their child cared for. Okay, and now you're saying in addition to that, we're gonna have you pay $250 a month. I mean, to some in this room, that may not be a lot, but to a lot of people who are working for the county, it's going to impact them significantly. I don't see that being equitable in this scenario. We only have taxpayer dollars to fund what we do. In the private sector, the last 5 years, how much has a gallon of milk gone up? Okay, how much have eggs gone up? How much does it cost to live? By not even doing the cost of living, you're paying them less than you did this fiscal year. Even if you say we're not giving you a raise, you're paying them less because it costs more to go get something at a grocery store. It costs some, Roger pointed out, increase in vehicles. I mean, this isn't a new thing. This isn't new. I mean, I've been doing this for 25 years. I mean, these concerns are there, and I don't know of any department, and I'll speak for mine, that spends extravagantly. I mean, we try and nickel and dime as much as we can to save money. You know, because why? And I'm sure some people say, oh, that's a bunch of BS. I pay taxes too. I don't want to increase my taxes any more than is necessary. But yet, in defense of Doug, I want to have a nice clean road when I come to town in the wintertime.
when I go see, you know, my relatives, I wanna go on the gravel roads without, you know, having my teeth shaken out. Okay, I like that service. I'm willing to pay for it, okay? And so, you know, the reality is, what are we talking about here? You know, breaking the backs of some of our employees to save a little bit? And I'm not saying, again, I wanna make this clear. Should we go to it? It's a discussion that we can have, but it's gotta happen so that these people who are in that boat have the ability to plan for it. So not 2.5 months away from the deadline for this happening. How about starting this discussion in September, October, so that you can plan with it? And rightfully so, plan with the adjustment in their wages. Because all of those other ones out there, regardless of the employment, all right, when they start their employment, that's part of the discussion, all right? Hancock County, they're paying, what was it, $500, 400 some dollars? How much are the deputies getting over there?
Average of 25,000 per year more.
Which county you wanna go to? I mean, you know, if you're gonna, and the school, our school, when they get hired on as teachers or administrators or whatever, their wages, I'm sure, are calculated in comparison to what they're getting for benefits. We had a change last year in the wages. That wasn't something that any of the department heads had control over, but it happened. And it didn't happen across the board equitably. It didn't. And so, you know, you have to look at it. I personally, I have no say in it, but I thought I better speak up because you need to know at least what I'm thinking. How can you do that to them? And I know people are not necessarily, some are, some aren't, that are on the side of the employees for the county, but that's a big ask. And probably in some situations too big. And then we're talking about losing employees. And then how many deputies applied, Roger, the last position?
Well, I had 4 apply, but only half passed the test. So
Right.
2.
Right. And I gotta be honest with you. In my office, I have a licensing board that certifies that I can practice what I do. And if I have to fill it with people who are not qualified and who jeopardize my license, I'm gone. I'm sorry, I love public service, but I can't risk that. I have family to feed too. So, you know, you have to be mindful of these situations that could, I mentioned it earlier, unintended consequences, okay? That's what you're talking about. Now, is that all of them? No. But you have to look at, there's gonna be some of them really desperately impacted. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd.
But, you know, and I understand it, and there's a lot of things. I mean, I know everybody saw what their homeowners insurance did. Did you plan? We can't plan for that. We all seen what our car insurance has done. Can't plan for that. There's a lot, but we're trying to do this without letting people go. I think I'd rather see the employees sitting here getting a paycheck than putting them on the street without a job. And that's another part of the big picture. I don't wanna sit here and say, okay, every department, you're gonna have to let one person go. You know, some of this is out of our control, some of it is from state mandates, changes in the state. You know, we've always tried to do the best we can with our budget. And we all, and I've heard over and over again, and I've said, we've got great employees, we do, we have the best employees. This is nothing to say anything bad about any employee. It's a fact of life, the situation we're in. We all know what health insurance premiums across the whole country have done. We've heard private employers talking about it. And, you know, you just, and the state put mandates on how much we can go up on tax asking. So that's another mandate. You know, what they mandated to, you know, pay the sheriffs across the country, you know, that was a huge increase. And so a lot of this stuff is out of our control, but my God, I'd rather try to keep the employees we have than sit here and say, okay, you're gonna have to go, every one of your departments come in, you're gonna have to look for one employee and let them go. Would you rather pay, if that's what we have to do? I mean, I'm still not, I mean, I thought he said that if we went to the high deductible, we didn't have to charge.
So that would be one option. We could structure it however we want, but the difference in the premium, based on the numbers I laid out, would be $225 a month less in premium for going to the high deductible option. So if you're,
Without the employees paying it.
yeah,
And that would say- and that-
you could still have,
and that
you
would
could
say-
still have the family high deductible plan provided and contribute $25 a month to the HSA, and you'd still be at the same total dollar. So, yeah, it would work the same way.
Just wanted to clarify that.
Yep.
You kept going back to, $250 a month.
Right. And there's a lot of pieces to it, there is, but yeah, that would be an option.
But the
We
high
had,
deductible,
yep,
without employees paying anything, it would save about 250,000 or 300,000 out of the tax estimate.
say $225 a month per policy,
I just wanted
just based on the numbers,
clarify,
yep,
'cause
yep.
there was some confusion that we were gonna go with the high deductible plus ask for $250 a month for employees, and I just wanted to make sure I was.
Well,
hearing it right.
the caveat I laid out with that is if we were getting $250 a month, they'd be able to get $225 back every month in their HSA. So the actual dollars out of their pocket hypothetically would be $25 a month, but then they'd have that money in their HSA to spend on medical expenses. It's whichever way you structure the dollars, it's the same dollars at the end of the day. Nick had his hand up and then Rod did briefly.
Real brief, so as it goes, communication's key, whether it's my level, any of these people's level, but, so we're all here today because the budget is short. And it sounds like next year we're all gonna come back again because it's short even more. So as an employee, I wanna know, if it's $250 this year, today, whatever, I can't control that. And next year the shortfall's worse, so it'll be $500. From this year, I think the number you gave was $270,000 that the employee subsidized and raises given back. Next year's budget, does that include raises for that $270 or include any, or is that no raises still next year? Because you need to be fair to the employees. If the end result is $500 or $1,000 a month, they're not gonna get raises. Nobody here can work for $17 an hour. Nobody's gonna move your snow truck. Or come to the courthouse and get a license for that.
I'm aware of those pieces of the conversation, I can't speak for anyone else, but I'm aware of that as a,
But to be fair to the
Piece.
employees, so they don't stick around an extra year to finally give up and leave, they should have the opportunity to leave now, or they can still find a better job. That is fair, that's putting you accountable for their lives. Because you're talking about taking away their Christmases, their family vacations this year, possibly school clothes. Your notice is so short that a bunch of these people can't afford any of that. That is fact. So you are altering, you are accountable for these employees' lives. Straight up, all five of you are. And they take it pretty serious. I think you've been told that. My situation's different, several. I'm better than several. I don't have any kids at home. If I had 4 kids at home, I'd be in a lot of trouble with what you want to do.
Rod, briefly.
Speaking of the last two comments, from the public standpoint, there's 24 businesses on Highway 18. I know for a fact, single mother, her pay was $40,000, and she pays her health insurance. She got a $1,000 raise, and for her health insurance is a high deductible, probably be like $400 a month. If it's not a high deductible, it's higher. That's from a public standpoint. And if you think you're going to lose employees, I hope none of you leave. Where are you going to find a better job? You tell me today, where are you going to find a better job in Eldona?
To your point real quick, it's in total compensation.
Right.
Is what they gotta look
And
at.
if you're looking at the health insurance last week it was brought up as part of our wage. Is it a wage or a benefit? If it's a wage, put it on their W-2. It's a wage. You can't have a wage and a benefit. Benefits you can cut easier.
Okay, thank you for the comments there. I guess at the end of the day, we need to make some decisions here. I think there's two big pieces of this. Well, there's many big pieces, but at the end of the day, does anyone have issues with offering the high deductible plan as an option? Cause I think, let's streamline our conversation. I think we should have it as an option. The employee contribution and stuff is another piece of that, but I think it only makes sense to give employees more options, so. I mean, the numbers I laid out are some scenarios.
I'm not opposed to
If
it.
there's any thoughts that way, open for discussion.
Well, it depends on what Roger said. But
If we can offer
if they think you can even offer it, if there's not a certain percent to sign up for,
I mean,
you don't have that answer.
to your point, if we charge for it, that encourages people to switch as well.
I remember it was like 10% of the population had to switch.
I did send Michelle an email,
Donna,
didn't get a response yet, so.
is that something,
Oh, sorry.
oh, that's okay,
Sorry,
is that
I can hear you.
something you'd even be able to do by May 2nd, or?
Why wouldn't she do it? Who's gonna do it?
Yeah,
I mean, who's gonna go and, I mean, Donna has a workload. Right now, we have 3 people that kind of take care of health insurance, and you're talking about switching a bunch of things. Who is gonna bring all this proposal and educate all of the employees? I mean, it's kind of volunteer right now.
I've already communicated with Donna, and Michelle would be able to come up and be here for our open enrollment times and have educational information for all employees to help with that.
Who takes care of
Educational
telling
piece.
Wellmark what employee has what plan? Who takes care of that right now?
You or Donna. Why would this be any different?
Because all of a sudden you have 4 to choose from instead of 2.
Same
Who's
number.
gonna do it? I mean, again, it's volunteer work. Just a little appreciation from the board would be, acknowledgement would be appreciated.
I guess I'll make the motion that we offer this high deductible plan option with the premiums at $740 for single, $1850 for family. And then include the difference in the premiums, which I already laid out previously, is $105 a month for single and $225 a month for family. We contribute that to HSA for the employees.
So tell me what we're saving for money then.
That doesn't save anything. That just gives more options, more flexibility.
That's not what we're trying to solve.
But I'm trying to separate out the issues so that we're not dealing with it all at once. We could include if we wanna make it complicated, I'll include a $250 a month contribution for employees for the family plan.
Which family plan though? That's be good to get.
That's why I thought it was easier to separate out the issues, so we deal with one first, but would you guys rather deal with it all at one time or in separate motions?
I don't think we can offer 2 different plans until we hear back from Michelle, but you've made a motion.
Is there a second to that motion? I'll ask once more, is there a second? Motion fails for lack of second. Is there any other motions for the table for this item? Do you guys wanna deal with it at one item? What are the thoughts from the rest of the board?
Well, from what you laid out, just going to the high deductible would save us about $250,000 a year. And what we're trying to do is get down, that is close to that 1.7 million as we can, and that's.
Are you talking only offering one plan of the high deductible? Okay. So is that your motion to switch to the high deductible option?
Well, I'd rather do that than charge people. I mean, the only ones that are gonna pay in that scenario are gonna be the ones that have a major surgery.
This is exactly why I was intending to have separate motions in the beginning, but and separate out the employee contribution for more specific conversation, but just discussion's sake, I don't think it's a benefit to the employees to completely switch plans. I think it's a benefit to let them have the flexibility to choose which option fits their situation.
We're not sure that you can do that because we have to go back and forth.
I'm gonna try.
Guys, can I ask something?
Yeah.
We got a plan for our stuff too, and you got 2 months, and nothing's been set up. We gotta see these 2 plans, so we know what the hell we're gonna do. And we're gonna go to people to see which is best for us. So we're giving no time if you guys don't get this thing done. So you gotta step up and get us something, so we know what we can do with the plans. You know, keep putting it off, it just makes the time shorter.
Yeah.
We have to plan for our budget too. So you gotta step up and
And
get
to that
something done.
point, I guess, Tammy, what do we do with the state? You have a time limit, can you file for an extension?
So, no, so what's already happened was we've already posted the budget, it's already been printed. We can reduce.
10% of the total enrolled employees must enroll in each plan.
Okay.
So you gotta have 10% enrolled.
The levy amount can be reduced even after publication, but the budget has to be approved by April 30th. If it's not approved by April 30th, you go back to last year's tax asking.
So if we need 10%, we'd need 13 to switch, roughly. I believe we would get that, and if we don't, then it's not an option. It's a moot point, but I believe we would have that many that would switch. From conversations I've had.
What is the high deductible, Kyle? Can you give us those rates? What's that?
3,500 for single, 7,000 for family.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
And if the 13
switch. Phil, sorry.
Can I go?
Yeah,
Yep.
go ahead.
I'm sorry I had to step away, I got called away, so I don't know if this has been asked, but I hear you throwing out these big numbers, what you're gonna save by charging the employee $250 a month. Have you looked into or asked Walmart, what happens when you lose 20, 30 people out of this pool? Because your rates are based on your pool of people. It's based on your claims. If you lose 30 healthy people, your rates will probably go up more than the $250 that you're charging. You need to look at the whole picture and not just think you're gonna save this $250,000, because if your rates go up more than that, you could go backwards. Worst case, or another case is, to say you're gonna save $250, I think is a stretch of the imagination, because you are gonna lose people. I guarantee you're gonna lose people. Either they're gonna take their families off the insurance, they're gonna quit, whatever the case may be. You're gonna lose the good employees first, and you're gonna lose the healthy people off your insurance first. You're gonna maintain the ones that are high claims. So those claims are gonna have to be paid by a smaller pool of people. So I challenge your number that you think you're gonna save by charging people a premium. That questions need to be asked, and there's not enough time to get the answer to all these questions.
Well, that's what I'm thinking, that I would personally would rather just go to the higher deductible and not charge.
Wait, we were $500, now you're gonna
Yeah.
charge somebody $7,000 deductible and not give them anything back?
They can't.
Well, I mean, we
Yeah.
You can't do that.
That's what I said earlier, I mean,
That's worse than
You know,
charging $250 a month.
we're at a
by
cost.
far.
charge, or go to each department, ask them to pick one person, lay off. You know, sure, we could go ahead and vote the thing through at 15%. I don't wanna leave this office with a tattoo on my back saying, Jack Slack was a supervisor, and what did he do? He raised taxes 15% this last year. But I think 15% is just too much.
I think, well, go ahead, Kurt.
These are a lot of changes for the employees, to say the least. They are changes that need to happen, but there are a lot of changes in a short amount of time. And as a supervisor, as the employer, or one of 5 employers, I think the first place to cut would be in the supervisor's budget, and Tammy, I'd like you to take $24,900 out of the supervisor's budget. Because if we're going to make such drastic changes to the employee and going forward, then I'm not gonna receive the health insurance.
So if you're saying,
I want you to cut my health insurance out.
That means a lot.
Thank you, Carter.
Thank you.
I'm gonna second that.
Well, that wasn't a motion, but.
I'm gonna do the same thing, is what I mean.
Okay.
I have other health insurance and to save money for taxpayers and.
So.
thank you, thank you.
I'm planning one.
So do you guys want the single or you want no health insurance? No health
Well,
insurance?
does that actually make a difference, or does that make our pool worse because you guys are
It makes
cheaper
pool smaller.
on our plan? I mean, right, doesn't that reduce, you know, a number of healthy people, like Phil was saying, in our pool? I don't know, I'm just asking. It's an insurance thing, I'm not a insurance guy.
One person, I wouldn't think it'd be that, or 2 people, it wouldn't be that big a difference, but, so. Anyway,
Okay.
and then, I would make a motion to make a change to the employee health care package, having the employee pay $250 toward their family health care plan. Our current plan.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor.
The employee is covered by the county, we're talking about the family plan. That's what-
And
how a lot of
we
it-
can, hold on, we can have discussion after
Yep.
there's a second. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Okay, now the motion on the floor is to have employees pay $250 towards family premiums. It's open for any discussion or questions from the board.
It's awful close to July is what I'm gonna say. There's not much planning.
You're still gonna raise the deductible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's already been acted on.
1,035 or 7,000.
No, that has not been acted on. The 1,000 and 2,000 is what we acted on weeks ago. And I guess I'll say to the point about single and family, I've been asked several times why I wouldn't have singles, or why I haven't suggested single policies contribute as well. There's 2 primary reasons for that. I feel it's the difference between dollars for single and family currently is over $1,000 a month. Until that dollar value equalizes, I don't think singles should have to pay. The other reason that I think that is because the people that actually work for the county, regardless of what healthcare plan they're on, are the ones actually providing the service to our constituents, our taxpayers, everyone involved. And in my opinion, that should be our primary responsibility, and the taxpayers' primary obligation is to take care of the people doing the work. I just wanted to lay that out there because I've been asked
You're gonna charge
regularly.
$250 a month if you're still paying a deductible anyway. You're gonna raise the deductible to how much is your family to, and another 3,000, so you're up to 5,000.
No, that's completely separate from
Well,
a cost.
still, I mean, the only way you have to use the deductible is if you have a major medical of some sort, major surgery.
The motion on the floor is specific to an employee contribution here. Let's try and deal with one item at a time. Is there any further questions, comments, or anything for discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Class,
No.
Jerks.
No.
Wactor,
Yes.
Nath,
Yes.
Stecker.
Yes. Motion carried. Is there any other motion in regard to the high deductible plan option that has been presented?
I make the motion to offer the high deductible plan, no family contribution.
So the
For the high deductible plan side.
with no out-of-pocket cost, you're saying, for the family? Okay,
No employee contribution.
no employee?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so you're saying the $12.60 contribution to an HSA for single and covering 100% of the premium for family? For the high deductible option? Or adding the $25 a month, that's,
Can we do that as an optional?
the same motion so that we understand what you're doing.
do you want employees to have the option, just so I'm understanding your motion, do you want employees to have the option of receiving the money in an HSA or paying the premium? Or having it go
Yes.
directly towards premium?
Yes, so I'll amend my motion to that effect.
Okay, so we'll have the numbers as I outlined them, but then letting the employees elect to pay $250 out of pocket for family, or having the premium 100% paid.
Yes.
Okay. Hang on though. Did you
I'm
have,
not sure I fully understand.
I'm not sure either.
that's where we're dealing with multiple mechanics of this here.
So, can I ask a question?
Yeah,
So you're saying that the motion previous was anybody who has a family plan has to pay $250 towards their premium. But you're saying that if they change to a high deductible plan, they don't have to pay that $250?
They can have the
That's what-
option
yeah,
to either
that's what
pay
he
the
was-
$250, or if they pay the $250, they can receive the
the
additional
220,
for the
225 back in the HSA.
Okay.
You're saying they can pay the $250 and then they have the choice between going on that high deductible and getting back $225 a month, or just pay the $250 with no HSA and just pay it. That's what he's trying to say.
And that would have the lower deductible.
But didn't you say they could choose the high deductible without paying the $250? Didn't you say that?
Yes,
that would
yes.
have to happen, yes.
So in
You're
what,
choosing to pay for one plan $250, or choosing to have the county cover your premium for the other plan, but with a higher deductible. Is that how I'm understanding that?
yes,
Okay.
yep,
But then you're throwing in things about a $25.
that's where it's much simpler to do it one way or the other. If you have contributions
Okay,
to the
well, I'll withdraw my
HSA,
motion
it's
so we
just-
can get a better
simplify it.
Talking two different plans, high deductible plan versus an HSA plan is totally two different things. And you're trying to combine the two into one motion.
No, the high HSA goes with the high deductible plan. They're not two separate things.
Only have an HSA.
You can only have it, yeah. You can't,
But there's also high deductible plans that's not HSA.
but the one we have is for HSA qualification.
Load, are you gonna put into the HSA?
Yes, that's what,
And are you gonna front load that so it's a benefit up front, or are you gonna put that in monthly?
that's another piece of the equation to be discussed. There's, so, and that was, let me lay out the question that Phil just asked, was whether we could front load that and do it right away, that way employees would have it available, or if we were going to contribute per month. I don't know what would be workable in that regard, but I know the school puts theirs in the beginning of July. Their yearly contribution, they just put it in up front, and it's one time. So then it's available to the employees. But I think it's simpler to have the HSA dollars going back to the employee than having the choice of paying the premium or not. It's hard to put that into a motion.
Or would it be simpler to stick with the plan that we have and with the change that we made and address a new form of a plan in the coming year? And advocate for that as an option going into the next year? I'm just throwing that out there.
It could be,
So either way, they're gonna pay a higher deductible, they're gonna pay a little bit for their health insurance, and so it's gonna change. So is that something we could, cause it's more complicated, that we could look at next year?
it is, it's more complicated, but it would give the employees the ability to control where their dollars went. It would be.
I understand
They
that.
either send it
I'm
to
not
the
opposed to
insurance
the plan
company.
at all, I'm just saying.
With the changes we're making, I feel like it's in the best interest of the employees for them to have that option right now with the premium coming out of their pocket. At least they'd have the ability to get almost all of it back in the form of an HSA. I mean, if you just look at family, if they're paying $3,000 a year and they get $2,700 a year into their HSA, it's a loss of $300, but it's pre-tax dollars, and I mean, it's really trying to make that as even of a wash as possible. But they would have that flexibility to choose.
You're saying that you're gonna save $225 on premium, or $300?
$225 a month on premium if you use the 90% of their estimated suggested rates.
And then you're gonna give them $225 for an HSA.
Yes, so it would still be, the cost for us as the employer would be the same regardless which plan they take. And that's the point, is they would get that value.
You just took $250 a month away from.
And this is where they would have the ability to control those dollars, where they went.
The idea of an HSA is that people take control of their own health insurance. That's where the county savings is coming from. That's why if you look out in the private sector and other industries that have two plans where they offer a deductible plan and high deductible, you don't pay a premium for the family plan. Where the savings comes is from you're not paying those claims. Because it's a $3,000 deductible or $3,500, whatever you said, that's being put onto the employee.
So I'll just ask this quick show of hands. For employees that are in the room right now, would you rather pay, first set of hands will be if you'd rather pay the premium and get it back in an HSA, or if you'd just rather have your premium covered if you went to a high deductible plan. So, would you rather have money into an HSA from an employer contribution first?
You got everything so
Yeah, we're confused.
That's,
Vote on that, I don't think people understand the plan as of yet, because they haven't seen it. The second part I wanted to ask is, and I'm sure it is, but I wanna verify it, is the acceptability and the coverage for doctor visits, minor stuff, all the same?
yeah, the deductible is the primary
The one we
difference,
have
and it's a
now-
high deductible plan, so the
one we have
structure is
now,
different.
It'd be the same as a high deductible.
Same
Only
network,
different-
same things you're all used to.
Your
Yep.
doctor visit will still be $22 copay, or that go up? Goes up.
The co-insurance,
For $200 for a doctor visit.
the co-insurance percentages are the exact same, deductibles are exact same, co-pays are the exact same.
Okay, thanks.
No, the copay is very different, Kyle.
No,
But they can't vote, they've gotta look at the plan before they decide which way they go.
Has everybody on the board up there met with Michelle and know exactly what these plans entail?
we just got them yesterday
I think before
afternoon.
you do any voting, everybody up there should know exactly what the plan is.
And that's why I'm
Because
saying
you
we
guys
should
are
look at
trying
it
to
in the
vote on
coming
something,
year.
you guys don't know what the plan is.
And then you expect us to vote on something we know we.
I don't know if it's a fair question to ask the employees here. They're not understanding of it.
So what will we say with Kyle, or with Carter's motion? Carter's motion was the.
Josh's,
No, the first one that you guys approved. Carter's was $1,000 for a single, $2,000 for a family, that we pay $250. What amount will we save for that this year?
Approximately $300,000.
Okay,
yep,
so just right off the bat, we're gonna do that, okay? And I kind of agree with you, Carter. Instead of making it more complicated and already confusing and frustrating, let's start there. It's not gonna fix everything, we know that, okay? But we can at least start there, because that we can explain to our employees, we can explain to people that work for the county who are already frustrated due to lack of communication. Here's a very simple communication that we can give you. That's where it's gonna stand now. But we're gonna keep going. We're gonna see if we can clarify this higher deductible stuff, get some more information, get it out to the employees, so that we can therefore then go forward and figure out what next year is gonna look like for us.
Thanks, Billy.
yeah. Any other thoughts from the board?
Not in favor of offering a high deductible.
Okay,
I think it's too much at once.
Look at that down the road.
Thank you.
Well, is that
Okay.
all for
so then,
health insurance then, and look at other?
very quick, Rod.
Okay, on your high deductible, Roger, you say you're against it. Let's just do the math on the, family. You're gonna put in $2,700.
Rod, we're gonna address it in the coming year though.
I know, but you're saving, it'd be the benefit for the employee.
It would be,
It'd be, I mean,
that's,
I'm trying to stick up for the employees, so.
The employees are confused enough already.
I know, but
Let us digest this.
Appreciate it, Rod.
And
If you don't understand the HSA part, you're.
well, that's why we need another year to look at it.
okay,
Going to the other.
we'll move on from
May I ask a question about health insurance?
very,
What is the total contribution for family and single? What is the planned contribution going to be per month? Is it changing?
from the county, yes, it would.
But is the total changing? Is
The total, no.
contribution, no. So is your motion, I believe the motion was $250. Didn't say per year, per month. Would you please clarify
Per
what you
month.
want?
That was
per month.
I think the motion is
family plan.
$250.
My motion was to make a change to employee health care package, having the employee pay $250 towards their family health care plan.
Okay.
Per
month,
So,
per month.
Is that supposed to be per month?
Yeah.
I think the board acted on a $250. So you might want to rectify that or clarify that so it's in the minutes
Okay,
per month.
do we need a motion to clarify that in the minutes? I'll make a motion to clarify that in the minutes as $250 per month.
Do we have a second to the motion that's on the floor?
I'll second it.
Is there any further discussion or questions? Roll
Can I ask
call,
one more question? Go ahead.
roll call vote, please.
Plath,
I voted against it, so I'd have to say no.
Jerks,
I voted against it too, I'll say no.
Wactor,
Yes.
Nath,
Yes.
Stecker.
Yes. Phil, did
Quick
you have?
question, so basically we're gonna start charging the employees, being my budget separate from the county budget? Or we have to redo budgets, and we have to have it done by the end of this month, because if my staff's paying $250 a month, that should come back into my budget, because I'm paying the health insurance out of my budget.
It would stay in that fund.
Correct. So am I gonna have to redo my budget now before the end of April?
Your expenditures would be less than the budget, so it could be reduced, but it's not going to hurt anything if it's not.
Or is your plan to reduce general supplemental?
That would directly.
So you will
reduce
want the road department then to have that
Yep.
portion
Yep.
recalculated?
Yes.
Last question, for next year, do you plan on doubling how much employees are gonna pay or more?
I didn't say I was planning on it.
No.
I don't believe you.
So then.
But that would bring her, go ahead, Jack.
Doug is still here, then Doug will have to have you, do those deductions as far as what you're gonna spend.
Well, the contributions are staying the same
No,
in
no, I'm
revenue.
talking about the mowing and all of that, 500,000. That's on.
Yeah, we need
We're
to-
finishing up
we-
the insurance
Yeah, that-
discussion.
Yeah, the rest of the budget stuff we'll need a motion on, but is there any other motions for health insurance? Otherwise, I'm considering this topic done. Okay, so, okay, guys, if you're gonna have conversations, please leave the room. We still have meeting to handle here. The next up is just budget workshop in general, so we can talk about all the. Okay, we'll take a 8-minute break and be back at 11. Yeah.
I get a lot.
Yeah.
It's not normal, no.
I'm sorry about that.
We already approved that, so I'll just sign it later.
Fair enough.
Thanks, Chris.
No, that's fine. We're good.
The other issue is. Hey, Scotty. Hey. That's what we're referring to. We have a savings here. Machines I showed you earlier, a year ago, we had no way. What was on there?
But my daughter started at work. She started at the same.
Truck Evans.
Started. 3 weeks vacation, all this stuff. This is antique.
Fellow also said must have been short 6 months. They bought, they hired a guy out there.
And whatever they want to control the work. We're tied. Yes, by these 5 people. We're tied to the budget.
So that Stephanie that we know, she's coming today to do her physical health well. She goes hard. She's gonna be stuck here in, so it's just about. I did, she only took, I was gonna start off with here in.
So if that's such a good approach, why is everybody doing it? You got the answers, I know, that's a good question. If it's a good deal, why isn't everybody trying to do that?
Well, that's what I mean, do landowners want their land?
Is it possible? Is it possible?
I mean, if I own 200 kids, that's the ground, I go to this church, so I don't have to pay property.
I don't know, I'm not asking.
When you get into the church, you go to the church. That's something totally
They take the road charge.
So one guy that we got health insurance. Now that's.
Because eventually, in 30 years, I can say, the reason I came to the county, I took a pay cut in order to get the insurance to take care of my family. That's the reason. It's kind of hard to go after 30 years, look what you build up in my longevity. It's hard to just drop.
You can do it next year.
Yeah, we'll have to start a lot.
If I would have stayed there, I would have more injury. But I chose to come this way. because of it. That's a life-changing decision, that's 30 years.
I get it, but you could pick up, you could.
Sure, but the whole time we've been here, to keep that insurance, they've dangled that carrot.
That's one thing.
Alright, let's get out.
I would like to stay longer, but I gotta go. You know, I'm one of the You know, I've been here 47 years. I'm involved in 5 businesses. We employ over 20 people. We're at the top. I don't think we can sustain it. Sioux County is 50 years, since 1970, it's still the same square miles with half the people. But I think there's options of operating more efficiently and effectively perhaps. This is just one part of the puzzle here. But I know as business owners, we're at the top. We can't charge anymore. And now it's cutting in. And I know what my accountants say. I know numbers. And I see what's happening. So eventually, they will catch up and you're gonna lose your tax base. Careful.
Nothing's ever easy.
Nothing's ever easy. But if that starts dwindling or unraveling, it's the beginning of the end. You know, so, but you know, I certainly hope that it can be wrestled with in the right fashion and everyone can cohabitate, because ultimately that's where it all has to be. We're all in the same deal together. But we're as business owners at the top end, of things. Can't really sustain it. So,
Yep, thanks for your comments.
appreciate your time. Yep, thank you. Thanks, Dave.
Okay. You guys all ready to go back in session? Jack, Roger? We are going to go back into session. If anyone in the room is in the middle of a conversation, please take it out in the hall. Okay, health insurance is done. We're just on general budget workshop right now. Yep. So we had discussed some of the potential changes earlier. Does anyone wanna start on any of those in particular? Could you grab the door? Thank you.
I think we had a pretty good list of things.
You had some of those.
I had some,
you and
Jack
Jack.
written them down, so.
Well, where do you wanna start?
First one, we had decided to take the 30,000 off of the fair.
Okay, yep. You want a motion for that? Or do you wanna
Do it
handle
all,
that?
do it
handle
all
my-
together.
Okay. Tammy, can you start the list as we talk here? Okay.
We can really decide how much we'll cut back at.
I think that is important to a lot of things in the area to keep the economy going.
We're in desperate times right now. I just recommend taking the whole
I
thing
just
off.
think we can't touch it now, take something, trim that back a little.
25?
Take 25 off and go to 100.
I was thinking more like cut it down to
50?
Take 50 off.
take it
Go
down
to
to
75.
75.
Take
I'd say
50
take it
off.
down to 75 at least.
That's,
Okay,
okay?
that's 50 then.
Well, you can.
No,
Take
take
it
it off 50, it would go to, it would go
50 is
to,
reduction.
You got
You
that?
can take some off
Okay.
the supervisor's budget because
We already,
We
we already took 40,000 off with health insurance.
Yeah.
49,800 off of that.
I know there's a comment made earlier about mileage, that's required by the code, so that's
Well,
not
but I
something
mean,
we can take
but
off.
the thing is you don't, it's required, but if you wanted to do something, and Carter was talking about sacrificing,
You don't have to turn it in.
You don't have to turn it in.
I'm not gonna turn mileage in anymore.
Then that's up to everyone on the board, how they wanna contribute to that, so.
Been to a couple meetings and never turned mileage in for it, so. Well, I've got Mason City for.
What else do we have on the list here?
Waiting to go look at conservation. That's the one that El Alto County did. I'm not saying we should, but we can.
Well, let's finish the
Kind of.
list that we had there
Yeah.
first, so.
We had a list already, but
And then, the 400,000 in next revenue is counted into that.
In
As
interest.
far as in interest. And then if we've got the 300,000 in health insurance. And what was the number you had for secondary
Well,
roads?
Doug was talking like, I think you use a number of around 500,000 if you trim services back.
If I trim services back,
Maybe.
that's all we'll be able to work with.
Yeah, or maybe, or.
But I-
Or, we'd have to change, we'd have to try to extend out some projects another year longer or whatever. Equipment. Projects.
I think we'll have to look at some of the current year budget stuff for equipment, but that's.
That's just a line item. I
Yeah.
mean,
But that, yeah, so 500,000 overall.
The whole area 7 of your budget is secondary roads. So if you're gonna take whatever, 250,000, 300, 400, 500 $1 million, do you wanna take it out of roadway? Do you wanna take it out of general roadway? General roadway, that's what pays for repairs. So if we take it out of general roadway and we don't buy any equipment and we use up all the budget, we stop repairing too.
Yeah.
I think the mowing and the edge lines are, as you stated, Doug, those are the first places to.
I think let's be specific on the mowing, I think we can stop hiring part-time help for mowing, and the mowing we do can be done by our own staff.
But it will not get mowed as often.
Correct.
And when somebody calls,
That was a
people
budget
gotta
decision that had to be
understand.
made.
So.
So,
it's not a phone call to say, we'll see what we can do. It's, I'm sorry, that's been eliminated.
yeah, mowing and edge lines, about $250,000 roughly. What else you guys got on the list?
I can have the guys not work any overtime.
Well, if we gotta,
That's, yeah.
Well, no, it's an option.
it's an option.
Well, when you're talking not moving snow on Saturdays and stuff, that's becomes a safety issue, I think.
We could charge for damage to roads when we have to go out and remove mud, or when people tear up roads, if the law enforcement would like to help us, and we have to, obviously, there's gotta be a way of doing that, but we could definitely charge for that kind of stuff too.
And I think that has been discussed before, and it needs to be uniform across the board, that everyone in that situation is being handled the same. I've had,
What do you mean, everyone is handled the same?
every situation is being handled the same, that,
Okay, so would you
Just a
like,
comment.
would you like before any repair is made, would you like through the road department, the law enforcement, county attorney, to determine who is responsible? Or do we go repair the road and then go after them?
I would say document, fix the road, and then go after them, but have the documentation up front.
Okay, no, but we can certainly do that. Sometimes it's gonna have to change. The way people aren't gonna be able to just call up lead yard shop and talk to an operator and say, I tore the hell out of the road, you better make sure you take care of that tomorrow, which happens right now. We could vacate more roads, obviously, that's gonna be less roads to take care of. It's gonna be more area to farm.
What about hog manure, Doug? When they pack all that mud on the gravel roads and they gotta go on the road graders, do you charge the farmer or you charge the guy hauling?
That's a good one, because the worst situation I had was actually the building was owned by one party, the hogs were owned by another party, the manure was owned by a third party. It was being applied to a farm that was another party, so we had about 4 or 5 people involved in that. And none of them lived on the road that they tore up.
Should be the one applying it, they're providing the service.
The transportation, so then, and check me if I'm wrong, Todd, you'd have to catch them.
Well, but the benefit was, applied to all, right?
So
I mean,
then,
the building owner wants the poop out of the pit, the hogs, you know, they're the ones creating the poop that needs to be hauled out, the hauler's there hauling it out, and the farmer's benefiting from it being on the field. So, who do you go after? I mean, rightfully so, because they're just gonna point the finger. My thought was, okay, they all have to pitch in.
I don't think the farmer should, because if I call a new co-op just to spend dry fertilizer on my field, it's muddy.
Well, you're paying for that, right? You're paying
Well,
for
that's-
manure too, so I guess that's.
That's my point, that's my point with the person applying it. If they're hired by a farmer or a building owner, whatever, they're providing that service, so.
But there's times when they also are told you have to haul for a regulation reason, if the pit's full, if it's overrunning.
All of that, isn't it?
Well,
Then they
yes,
can-
now back to whose fault was that?
They can adjust their rates according to the cost of providing that service, that's,
But I'm just saying that, so now you're saying that it's going back on the owner of the land that's benefiting, if you're adjusting your rates accordingly.
Or when the wind blows and you got several feet of dirt in the ditch, does the county charge to clean that dirt up, or is that the landowner's responsibility, or?
we have multiple situations right now where ditches have blown in.
Or can I go
One
up
thing
there?
that I will be,
No, I mean,
I would recommend is that whenever the road crew from now on goes to repair tile intake, the intake is not put back, just the tile. If the landowner wants an intake, they can put it on their own property, that way they are the ones that maintain it. We often repair an intake, you go back the next year, because it was it was run over by a snowmobile. And the next year, it might be burnt with the road ditch. And then 5 years later, a big flood comes along and the whole intake is washed out. We have intakes out there that all we do is maintain, repair them. So I would like to eliminate them in the road right away. Again, if a farmer would like, maybe we can just say we're gonna put it on their property if they want. But that I feel will save expenses in the future as well.
It might save expenses, but if you got a plug, at least you can look down that intake and.
Okay, if you want an inspection, you can put an inspection on your own property. That's fine.
Well, the one in my ditch you can take out tomorrow, because all it is an outtake. The water comes up, pops out of there, runs across our field and floods it.
That happens as well, yes.
That's what a lot of them are.
Outtakes, not intakes.
Well, and that's
It's called blowholes.
things like that that are, I mean, yes, they could be a contributing factor in the budget, but they're not substantial. Let's deal with that another day.
Well, if we're talking about reducing expenses, let's talk about reducing expenses.
Yep, every little bit adds up.
Do you have
What
a
do we
dollar
got
figure
for-
on what we spent on intakes this last year?
Well, when you got a tractor backhoe and 2 employees, truck to haul it out there, trailer, I'm sure there's hundreds of dollars involved in that repair.
And how many of those do we do?
I don't have it right off the top of my head, but I'm just trying to eliminate expenses in the future.
Are there any expenses that aren't necessary for the courthouse?
We already went through that and removed what we could. I mean, we did that a week ago or so.
We've done that a couple times.
How much more are you guys looking for currently?
That's why I asked, where are we at, Tammy?
I haven't been adding up the amounts, I've just been writing down the list. So we have 30,000 from the fair, 50,
Well, we had
to reduce that
70
80.
last week, so 70 plus the 30 from the fair is 100,000. What else do you have now?
the,
50,000 for economic
Yeah.
development.
and then we're increasing 400,000 to revenue. And the employees are paying $250 a month, which is gonna be about, what did you say?
Roughly
300,000.
So that's 850.
Stop hiring part-time staff for mowing, I don't know, Doug, how much is that gonna save?
Well, I'm just gonna have a couple line items that I'll have to make adjustments to, in the budget.
Is that rough?
By code, April 15th is the budget is due to the Department of Transportation. I'm planning on presenting the budget. I would say that we should probably, when we're talking about that budget, we'll look at those line items and take care of that.
Was that roughly 100,000
I
for
have
part-time?
I have $93,000 down from
For
our previous discussion, for the part-time mowing.
100,000, I mean, we aren't gonna be running the equipment.
Yep, so another 100,000 there is 950 grand total. What, did you have more on your list, Carter or Jack,
And then there was what, 50 out of the supervisor's budget
for health insurance?
that did not come
Yep.
out.
Remove Carter and Josh from health insurance.
That's a even million right there.
What's the capital projects for the courthouse? That took a big jump up to 188,000.
There's ARPA funds.
That's all ARPA funds in there?
Paid that.
That's from this
Well, I
current
mean,
year.
it's in there for the next year, this coming year, 188.
No, those are
No,
old
no.
numbers. Those are old numbers.
That's from February numbers.
That's old numbers.
We don't have
Top
updated
check the
sheets.
fiscal year.
We don't have updated sheets for that department in the folder.
He's looking at the spreadsheet.
Okay. Do you have other things on your list, Carter?
How are you coming up with that amount? Cause I'm not.
400,000 for insurance. Increase in revenue.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's probably the difference there.
Interest.
Cause you have. And the 70,000 we did last week. So 30 plus 70 is 100, so that's, and then you got 400 and another 100, so yeah, that's a million. So the 70,000 we did last week. Did either of you guys have any other things on your list so far?
And the edge lines.
That was.
Yeah, that was
was part of
in,
it?
Yeah.
that was in the,
250,000.
Oh, okay, okay.
No, otherwise, no, that's what I have. Cause I just had a list to get to 1 million, and beyond that.
But keep in mind, any reduction in the budget to the secondary roads
Decrease.
You're talking about the secondary road fund,
We would have to decrease transfers for it to affect our
so.
other funds.
So then you're gonna get less gas tax?
I don't know.
We looked at
Based on the numbers we talked about last week, we would, I believe you gave me this number, Doug, is we need 3,226,009 for hitting 75% of local effort. And right now, what's in the budget is well over 4 million, it's almost 4.25. For local effort, so we'll be substantially above the 75%.
But I need to know, in order to approve the secondary road budget, I'm gonna need to know what my transfers are. You guys are gonna have to let me know the dollars that you're gonna be.
Do you have
transferring.
labels on those dollars?
I have the list here.
Hey Carter, what about the excess money like what Mr. Fisher said, they had 510,000 left over? Is there, you gotta put that in there too? Is that gonna be extra money? Then you guys can
Fund
use?
balance.
That was last year.
We
This year,
can't-
I don't know where they're-
We can't bank on it until it really happens to some
I'm
degree.
estimating to be 250 to 300, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, last year's is in the fund balance.
But if we get 10% of the budget back at the end of the year, overall budget, then that will be a fair amount of dollars.
Do we even have the stuff from Doug in here for numbers yet? I don't think we do.
What stuff?
The edge lines and
That's the
mowing.
100, he said.
No, the 100 was.
Okay, that's part-time, that's just the part-time.
Okay.
I had written down
So then-
250,000 for edge lines and mowing.
Yeah, so the edge lines, I think you had said 125, 150, somewhere in there, Doug.
125, what?
Yeah, 125 for edge lines.
And that's, and what is that?
That's
That's
on
not
the
doing.
upper side for everything, so
That's painting.
the lower
lights
side is
on the right
100.
side of the road.
Okay.
Well, even if we did 100,000 there. For edge lines, and we're at 1.1 million. So that would be $250,000 we would need to adjust in transfers.
Oh, and Todd's extra 10,000 in revenue, I
Yeah.
don't think we counted in that,
That's not counted, no.
but that's already been approved last week, so
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter.
We took everybody back. Last year, and these others back.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they're the same as previous. What else did you have, Doug, as far as not doing stuff on gravel roads?
Elimination of construction on gravel.
How much do we have planned for construction on gravels right now?
Right now, the program will have $0. Well, excuse me, there's a bridge project that we had talked about down in Prairie Township. It's a timber bridge. We have not let it. We got 2 bridges we're constructing right now. The third, the idea was that we got money from Kossuth Wind Energy, and we were gonna use that to update those 3 bridges. And we have another culvert up north where it's a private drainage ditch. They cleaned out the private drain, the culvert is high. I have that in to be replaced. Other than that, there's no construction planned
So that was,
in the, and that's,
so that's mostly already incorporated.
no, it's in the program for you to approve today.
How much is the dollar for those 2 projects? Roughly?
$750,000. But they're not in,
That's in the
I
current.
don't, they're not in the current current plan year to be replaced. They're in the 5-year plan.
It's on year 27, that bridge. Or year number 2, I guess.
So that doesn't have an impact on the budget today or for this next year then, if they're in year 27? Is that
No,
correct?
but I need to, I need the board to support the construction on, and we had these 2 bridges, we said we were gonna be replacing them. I need the support from the board that we're no longer doing construction on gravel roads. We have bridges out there that are posted. We have bridges out there that right away when posting goes up, people that haul heavy loads are upset. But the board is gonna have to just say, we have had to make a decision, we're not updating structures on gravel roads.
Okay. So that 750 is in your current budget for
Not this
afternoon?
next fiscal year, it's in the program.
Well, okay. So it's not gonna save money out of our current budget, that's my
Correct.
point. Okay. Okay, well, we're at 1.1 million as a total right now. Any other thoughts?
I got a thought, and maybe it's not a good one, but I thought of just offering like 2 days per employee of unpaid vacation for the next fiscal year. So it's optional, they can take 2 extra days off or whatever they want, but if you did that and everybody took their 2, it should be somewhere around like $70,000. It'd be like, is what you got 131 employees, right?
Mm-hmm.
260 days, which is a working year, 2,600 hours at $24.56. I thought Doug said the other day, it's like $65,000.
For all employees who would be paid hourly.
I don't know
Yeah.
what the actual figure is, but it'd be $60,000-$70,000 of savings. And it's kind of a benefit for the employee, because they're gonna get 2 extra days off.
They'd have the flexibility.
Yeah.
So how's that a benefit?
We get days off.
Unpaid?
Well, I'm just saying, it's optional.
Oh, we just work for free.
It's optional.
So it's really not vacation day if they're not getting paid, it's just a day off.
Right, but you're mandated, or you have mandatory days, you have to be here, it's just extra. I'm just saying, something I thought of.
In my case, then I would have to fill shifts if I let 24 of my employees take time off.
So, and that's why I said, I don't know if it's a good idea, I just threw it out there.
I mean, that's why we'd have to look at,
But like the
closing
board is
door
talking
at
about
some point, but-
cutting employees.
Right.
Well, so instead of cutting employees or laying them off, it's another option to try to save a little bit of money.
And then you're paying overtime.
But then I'm either gonna have to pay overtime or.
So I said, some departments might not work it, I don't know. Just-
Appreciate the
Thanks,
suggestion.
yeah, thanks for the thought. I
The other thing-
don't know that that'll work.
The other thing at some point here, if you push it far enough, these people are gonna live on their own anyway. So your reduction's already been given, it's just a matter if you rehire those positions. But like in the road department, the operators, if you're short 4 or 5 operators and you just cut all their pay, and you're gonna expect them to work harder to make up for the difference, you already have a morale problem, that's gonna really do something. You can't expect everybody to make everything up for the other people, but I'm pretty sure what happened here today, you'll have some reductions. It's just a matter if you, wanna hire them back or not. 3 or 4 people said straight up they couldn't do it, and I'm pretty sure there's one right now writing his resignation, almost guarantee it, if I have by him today. So we should look in the future, if you're going to, once you lose positions, are you just gonna leave them vacant?
Well, and
That'll save you a lot.
that may be something to discuss whether we have a hiring freeze or not. I don't know if anyone wants to.
That's not.
I need my people. I mean, I have 3 departments and we're busy. I mean, I need my people, so.
If you do a hiring freeze, please do it by department.
Yeah. We have a presidential election coming up. We can't lose anybody.
Yep. And that by department could be how it could be addressed.
Well, let's finish the budget discussion.
I look into your deductible shit on your property insurance.
Yeah, that can be another day conversation. Any other thoughts for changes to the budget here right now today? Did we go through everything on the list when you guys took notes as we were talking?
I believe so.
Okay, well, we're at 1.1 there, so that's 2/3 of what we were talking.
Does that get us down to 5%?
Roughly, yeah, we'd be pretty close in that ballpark. And I think that's, I think that's a lot of progress.
You wanna make a motion for those changes then? To be added
To incorporate those changes into the budget.
Well, I probably shouldn't because I voted against the insurance things.
I'll make the motion then.
Okay, I'll second it.
You want me to read it, what I have, or no?
Well,
just,
read it, that
yeah, if you can go through.
Read the motion before we vote.
Okay, to make the following reductions. Remove 30,000 from the fair, reduce the allocation to economic development by 50,000, which will bring it to 75,000. Remove Carter and Josh from health insurance, increase $400,000 to revenue for investments for this year. Have employees pay $250 per month for family health insurance, which will be about $300,000. Stop hiring part-time staff for mowing, about 100,000. We had 70,000 last week, and decreases, not painting the edge lines, and we had a $10,000 additional revenue from last week.
Everyone
With a
understands.
total of?
1.110.
Yep, just over 1.1 million.
I heard $200,000 reduction to the road department. Transfer. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah, roughly 200,000.
The fair contribution is gone?
The 5,000 for gate would still be there, the 30,000 for repairs is gone. Does everyone understand the numbers and the motion? Roll call vote, please.
Plath,
Well, I voted against that insurance thing, so I don't really have to vote no.
Jerks,
I'm gonna pass.
Wactor,
Yes.
Nath,
Yes.
Stecker,
Yes.
Jerks.
I'll vote yes.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Any,
Got a lot farther this week than last week, so.
yeah,
that was-
appreciate the,
Yep.
Hey Kyle, what about all those other people that come in? When I was on the board, we'd always have like 2-3 days of people coming in asking money. Is there anywhere you can trim any of that?
we already
We
did.
Yeah, we did. Like the, or the library and all those.
Discretionary.
We already cut over 200,000 from the library.
You cut.
Kept the
Tech grant.
tech grant, which, like, small libraries get a fair share of that, but
We,
the other money, like Carter mentioned, I think he said, Laverne only got like $1,700 out of that 225.
a lot
The
of,
ledger gets $800, I mean, it's.
for the
Yeah.
population split of
No.
it.
Tech
We increased the tech grant a little bit to meet the requirements in the code for funding.
See, the tech grant is divvied out equally to every library, so Laverne's actually taking that as an example, gets, I forget how much it is, but it's
For the dollars that we contribute, it will
closer
spread
to
it out.
$10,000
evenly.
versus 1,700, so,
That's good, they need it.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's, the discretionary spending has already been hammered pretty hard. Okay, not hearing anything further for budget, so let's get back to our regular business here.
Kind of one thing on the budget, quick.
Yep,
Just a suggestion that we have open enrollment for health insurance coming up here in May. Maybe we could do a special open enrollment.
Doug, stay for a second.
Maybe
Yeah,
we
go
could do a
ahead.
special open enrollment January 1st, because then you're looking at a new deductible year versus splitting the two deductibles in half. I'll visit that high deductible plan, have a little more time to get some information put together and roll that out for a January open enrollment, because I think there is benefits to the employees to have that if it's done properly. Just kind of throwing out there.
That'd be something we could explore, thanks.
And I'd be willing to, help explore that option, come up with ideas.
So with the budget cuts you guys made, does that mean that you won't do the whole 19.6 increase on the taxes, you lower that down?
So I outlined it before, there's 15, just over 15% that was on property taxes. The changes we made today would reflect about 2/3 reduction towards that. The other roughly 3.5% increase is on other sources of money. We're not changing that at all.
Gotcha.
But Doug, I asked if you could stay, cause our next item to get back in our agenda is secondary road stuff. So are you ready to?
I gotta go down to the office and get my
Okay,
information.
okay. Then we'll do drainage quick, and
Let
when
you
you're,
get situated.
when you're able to bring your stuff back up, that we'll
I'll get mine.
go on that. Okay, thank you.
You might be that lawyer yet.
Yeah, no,
Hell, we get over there.
we're not fixing it.
Oh, you're right. How's your road up there?
I looked at it as a taxpayer, they didn't fix anything here. Yeah, 11:59. I got this, I got it.
So unless you really address that, you can't do much.
Tammy, when'd you get March?
Yep. Has everyone seen the repair requests in our packet?
Yeah.
Two of them are PK1 issues that the engineer should be looking at.
Yeah.
We're still looking at some funding
And I
options.
need a diagram to follow my notes
Several of the
for the minutes.
grant dollars or outside, even outside of FEMA,
Much
just other
less all these
disaster
changes
dollars
I'm gonna have to
have
make.
been kind of dead ends.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you gotta make more.
That's what it is.
Better now than on the 23rd.
Yeah, making a house.
Gotta look at the silver lining.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, for sure.
All three of them really. Nope, yeah.
I think one of them ran.
Yeah, did you
Yeah,
get
he
the
called.
call on that one?
Yeah, he called, it's the same problem as last year, Rice goes out and looked, didn't find anything, but now he's got a pond again, new main tile.
Okay,
So I'm assuming that they
Okay,
didn't
so
get
we are,
laterals
wait, we
hooked up.
skipped down to here right now, so they're
You
doing.
know, you don't always find
They're
all the laterals.
Are you doing the landowner crossing right now?
So.
we already did that.
Okay, so we're down here to
So I
drainage
spoke,
repair
I said, well,
requests.
I'll figure it out.
Still got this to do?
Yeah.
Have you talked to them
Well, we
on
don't
it?
have any of this, we've
Okay.
done that. So this is done, and this is done.
I have things crossed off on mine if you wanna see.
Here. And we've already done all of this. So we have this left, and then these left.
Okay.
Okay, you're welcome.
Alright, Marge, we are up to repair requests. Looks like we got 4 of them here in our packet. We've all talked about them here a little bit and looked at them. while Marge is passing out the paperwork, are there any questions? Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion to effect of repair request. Approved, okay?
Who moved?
I'll
Jack,
second.
Jack and Josh,
Oh, we don't need to, we don't need to.
don't worry about it.
Okay. This, but I will say this one on PAK one, open ditch, that's not Lots Creek.
Did I write that on there?
Yeah, that's for Montagues. That's by, that's by like Aaron's dad's home place there. It's a different, there you go, okay.
Okay,
So just making that
yep, no,
change.
that's good to
So
know.
that one I will have taken care of,
Okay.
outside of the engineer,
Okay,
so,
Okay,
yeah.
alright,
so that's in a different spot.
Yep,
okay. We already talked about mine, Roger, you wanna?
Yeah, I got
Yours
number
quick?
23 and 24, they're both on PK1, they're both on open ditch that was made, and it's both of them. One of them needs a tile hooked up and outlet pipes, and the other one needs a tile connection made. Do you wanna do it through the engineer, or do you want me to send somebody out there to fix it?
So are those ones that they thought were missed from the last project?
I'm assuming that they were missed.
I would probably send it to Bolton and Mink, I would think.
probably would, yeah.
Yeah, that was my initial thought, that they should just go to Bolton and make.
Okay, sounds good. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carried unanimous. Alright, there's mine, Marge. Okay. Doug's still working on his stuff, so we can go to discussion with our auditor and board discussion after that.
Sorry, I just gotta
Whenever you're ready, no rush. Fine.
make sure I follow where we are when I do the minutes. Okay, so next week, you know, Carter's gonna be gone next week.
You can, I'll be in a place if you need to call me, I can step away and act
Okay.
on something if you need it.
Okay,
Okay, we have a 10 o'clock completion hearing for DD 60 sub 1 and a 10:05 reclassification and annexation hearing for DD 60 sub 1. And then we have change to depository limits, transfers, child abuse prevention proclamation, and then our regular weekly stuff.
okay,
So that's what we have next week so far. And we're having the budget hearing on the 23rd.
that's at 8:30,
8:30, yep.
yeah.
And then, just a reminder, if you haven't found anybody to replace Maureen on the NICOG board. And then,
I'm on top of the priority list.
yeah, North Iowa Regional Housing Authority, you still have to appoint somebody to that board. And then, that's all I have.
Okay,
Real quick, I just forwarded an email to you guys from Michelle. She said we need to have 10 employees enrolled in that plan after the first year is offered in order to continue the plan option.
in order to continue it,
In
or,
order to continue it. So
Okay.
you can offer it the first year,
Okay.
but if we don't get 10 people
then
to sign
we
up,
wouldn't
then
be
it
able
would
to.
drop off.
Yeah, makes
Thank you,
sense, yep, good deal. Jack, you have any board reports?
No, we got next Monday, we have our meeting with early childhood up there for our, what's the term used for it, to renew with the state.
Okay,
Nothing.
okay. Josh, anything else?
Yeah, had third judicial district, Department of Corrections, they're getting ready to do an award ceremony in June to award a couple of their staff members that perform life-saving actions. They outlined that they are having hiring issues. The secretary position there is lacking interest due to the low pay. And that was due to the reclassification from the realignment. There's also some disciplinary changes to employee disciplinary actions. They used to use Colors and Cooney, but since the realignment, they have to use the DAS, which is Department, I was thinking DAS. Department of Administrative Services. There are programs that are changing throughout the districts. They have to provide the same services in all districts, which wasn't a thing before, but since the realignment, they have to provide all the same services. And the cost is being affected too, so that all the services in each district will cost the same. They had to make an adjustment to the classification for the job duties for the PPO3 parole officer because they used to handle high-risk offenders and an additional workload to cover down on some of the other ones, but now they're reducing that to where they can only handle the high-risk offenders. Let's see. There's a big push for re-entry efforts. Right now, the prisons are overcrowded by 19%. They're going to continue pushing paroling as many people as possible until they get it down to 15% overcrowded. I don't know what the number for that looks like as far as the amount of people that they're looking to try to get paroled. I think that's all. They did a PREA audit, which I looked it up. It's the Prison Elimination Act, and they had a good review for that, so they didn't have to set up any corrective action plans or anything like that. So that came through pretty good. I think that's about it for that. I am supposed to have a North Central Regional Response meeting tomorrow. However, I'm not gonna be able to make that. Tyler, I believe you're the alternate for that.
When is that? What time?
I believe it's at 2:30. I have another meeting for the Tech Services Bureau at 2 o'clock, and there's no way I'm gonna make it to the meeting at 2:30 over there.
In Mason?
Yeah, it's in Mason City. And typically the,
You can zoom into that one, can't you?
I could, but if I'm in Zoom on one already, I
Well,
can't zoom into
same.
two. Oh, for him.
Do you
Well,
have the packet and link and everything?
Not
You don't
yet,
have to
they
buy
usually,
one, so easy.
they usually send that the day before, so I'm hoping to get it today. And I'll forward that to you.
Okay.
And typically the Transportation Policy Board will be right after that, although there is no, oh, there is an alternate, you are the alternate for that one too. So, I'll have to wait and see if those emails come in with the packets and stuff, and I'll get that over to you.
Okay.
That's all I had.
Guess no, I had no meetings, said a lot of conversations about stuff today over the past week. Public and employees, that's about it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go over the stuff we've already hit 100 times. I had a leadership meeting for our NACO Ag and Rural Affairs Committee yesterday. And then we have EMS tonight, Kossuth Waste Management tomorrow, so that's short version. What do you got, Roger?
Our lawsuit with Joe that just we just got papers on, is our attorney gonna respond to that, or are we supposed to do it separately?
I believe ours is already,
When was that?
it was just filed here, or just served on Friday.
I didn't know anything.
You weren't included.
Okay,
Yeah,
Lucky you.
that's for the, repair request on drain 4, lot 11 that
did Marge get a
Joe's-
copy?
I don't.
Should I tell Marge to have the
Let's
attorney
talk,
respond?
yeah,
I'll
let's
tell her
talk to her after the meeting.
to have our attorney respond to it so that somebody does.
Yep.
We have to respond.
Yep. Yeah, that's right, just got that Friday night.
Another week, get it done this week.
Yep. And we'll probably have to explain some of that situation.
He's gonna have to talk to one of us, or two of us,
And probably Dan Wiedemeyer,
yeah.
cause it goes back to the ditch being filled in and they have all the engineering for all that.
Yeah, and we never found an outlet pipe, what he's talking about.
Correct.
That's
And
a family time.
And the televising proved that as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's talk to Marge after the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't have anything else. Anyone else have something for board discussion? Okay, Doug, your items for the road budget, construction of the right of way and discussion are all that we have left. What do you anticipate for time for the budget? I know in the packet it had an hour. Do you think you need the full hour or?
It's gonna be close. I got a
Okay.
presentation that I'd like to present to the board. We're gonna have to discuss to make sure that we get everything correct on the budget.
Yep.
Unless the board would like to meet again.
Well, I'm just thinking, looking at the time here, we've got 10 minutes to noon. If we're gonna have a full hour, let's go grab lunch and come back at 1, or?
That's, however, I can come back in the afternoon, that's fine.
I don't care either way. I'd almost just rather get it done, but then move on.
Doug's the one that we're compromising his time, what would you like to do?
It doesn't matter to me, whichever way you guys wanna do it. I'm gonna be back here this afternoon anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna be here the rest of the day too, so I guess at the end of the day, I'm gonna need lunch at some point in time.
Recess till 1 o'clock?
Yeah,
Alright.
let's meet back here at 1 then.